Welcome back to DoorDash Driver Live. I'm your host, Mr.BetonYou. Happy Sunday to you guys. I hope you guys are doing well. And in the chat, might please give a thumbs up that you guys could hear and see me okay. Um, Happy Sunday. If you're out, I hope you're making money. I hope you're making good decisions. I hope you're being safe. I hope you had a good weekend. My weekend was pretty good. I did not do any gig work on Saturday and Sunday. You guys know me. I'm super lazy on the weekends because I grind it out during the weekdays. So let's see, Scooter Bud, what's up? What up? All right, thank you guys. Good week. Now we have a very different special show for you guys tonight. Sergio will be with us. He's been on the show a couple of times. He was actually part of the virtual con that we did back in October. And I believe he's been on the show one or two other times. So he's definitely somebody that you guys know about. If you don't know about him, you'll get to know about him today. So basically, we did a live, I believe it was 2 Sundays ago. And we talked about the adjustment pay drivers got in California out of the Prop 22 bill. Okay. Now, so all the Cali drivers that are with us or will be with us tonight, let me know if you are in California. Let me know in the chat. I see a few people already. Okay. And drivers have been getting some money from DoorDash, Uber. This isn't just like a one app kind of deal, right? This is Prop 22. Him, Sergio, and Pablo found out some things, did some digging, right? And from what I understand, the gig app companies didn't do what they were supposed to do, and maybe the treasurer or something, or some people in Cali did not do what they were supposed to do, and these two gentlemen held them to task for that. It's like a David versus Goliath story. So Sergio will be on momentarily to kind of share that with us and what that might mean for current drivers. And obviously, we've been talking, I feel like in the last couple of months specifically, about legislation, what it means for you currently if you're in a state that a bill's trying to be passed, whether you're in Minnesota, hot button issue there, what did not happen, governor shut that down. Colorado didn't even come to a vote. And obviously New York City has things where it's a guarantee pay, there's tip transparency in the city of New York for gig workers, which I think is fantastic. And other places, Pennsylvania, Seattle has something right now, and they've had it for, I believe, over a year, maybe a year and a half already. So there's a lot of cities, states that are trying to do certain things, right? I think that it seems like it's a trend. I feel like there's a lot more stories about this, a lot more people showing interest in trying to get fair wages, fair pay, combat false deactivations, whatever it might be, living wage, wage increase because of inflation. A lot of these things are happening, and you guys know me. I don't know how to always feel about it because I don't feel like everything is with good intent, and some things could hurt in the long run, right? But what we're going to talk about today, I feel like, is a big win, especially for the California driver. So I wanted to have Sergio on so he could tell you, because he's the one that was there that really made this happen, and I think we're just going to make for a very insightful conversation. We'll probably have the StreamYard link will be open for people today. If you guys have questions, put them in a chat. I'll try to plug in some of those here and there. A few other things. We do have some announcements on the 2023 GigCon in Denver. If you check the website out, and I'm going to be putting more information out this week, but there's a lot of new information. We have a venue booked. It's going to be at the Marriott, so in Denver, Cherry Creek, Denver. We have the Skyline Ballroom, a beautiful, beautiful ballroom. They do weddings and events and bar mitzvahs and all kinds of stuff there, right? Holds enough people for what we need. Beautiful view of the mountains on one side of the room and part of the city in the other. This is going to be a fantastic event. We have special guests getting lined up basically every week. We have some great partners and sponsors, great vendors, booths, free food, beverages. We are planning the event of the year, in my opinion. It's going to be that. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. So let me give some shout outs before we bring Sergio up. What up, Daphne? Bud Soda's in the house. What's up, man? Been a while. Bigfoot Killer, All the Bling Create. I see Rachel's, Matthew, The Rue Express, ZZ, Life, Vicky. I see Dashing Across America. What up, what up? Uber MVD, good to see you. Matthew Suss. He always has something funny to say. Gilbert, Javier, what up, Jeff? Appreciate all the channel members in the house. April, Fly Guys, Delivery. Oh, the Rideshare Hustler. What up, what up, what up? Appreciate all you guys. Savvy Shopper delivers, aka Holly Camp. She is a contributor to the GigCon 2023 in Denver. Redbeard, DDIS Deliveries. Appreciate all y'all. Hit the thumbs up for your boy. Let's get the show started. I'm going to bring Sergio in right now. I'm not going to wait too long. I want to get this conversation started, and let's get him in the room. Sergio, how are you, my friend?
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Good, man. Always good to have you here. So,
Thank you
give
for
the
having
people what happened in the last couple of weeks. I know some of the people are in this room might already be aware of it, but I want them to hear it from the person's your perspective, because you had
from,
such integral partners. So
from the
what happened, man, in the last couple of weeks?
from the horse's mouth. So here we
Yes,
go.
yes.
So this is what happened. You know, I mean, for some of you who may not know me, I'm the senior contributor at the Rideshare Guy and co-host of the Show Me the Money Club every Tuesday live stream podcast. We, mostly do rideshare, but we also, I started doing deliveries about a year ago. I've done about 1,100 deliveries so far. And, I just wanted to learn the space because, Pedro is one of our contributors at the Rideshare Guy as well. Just wanted to learn about it. So long story short, over the course of the last year, we grew our community pretty nicely actually at the Rideshare Guy. And so what I do is that, I have drivers become my eyes and ears in many, many different cities and states, right? And I get hundreds and hundreds of texts, whoever has my number, cell number, or emails, screenshots on a weekly basis. And I respond to all of them. And then, I just want to see what's going on around the country, get the pulse or the feel of the country. And all of this started on April 13th of this year with an innocent text from a friend. And now, actually, if I may announce that, Pablo is going to be our Hispanic content creator on the Rideshare Guy going forward.
Oh, that's big news.
So we're moving into that space as well. He had known me actually over Twitter. Actually, we cooked up there. We've been communicating back and forth. Long story short, he texted me this, innocent text on April 13th. He says, maybe you should look into this. So what he was saying is that, for people in California who know what Prop 22 is, or actually it's a convoluted law. It's really vague, but let me just refresh your memory. So before Prop 22, there was something called AB5 that they passed, and AB5 basically codified every gig worker as an employee of these companies. So these companies basically ignored the law for 9 months until they brought around their own proposition called Proposition 22. In the last elections, national elections in 2020, they spent close to $220 million. It was the most expensive proposition in the history of California. And they passed it with a 59% vote majority. Prop 22 is not what everybody thinks it is, right? So Prop 22 gives you a couple of things up front, which is it gives you a minimum wage guarantee, which is 120% of your city's minimum wage. So let's say in LA County, minimum wage right now is $15.20. 120% of that puts us at $19.60. But the caveat for that is it's for active time only, meaning from the time you accept the order to the time you slide it over and deliver the food.
So it's like with DoorDash with the earn by time. You got to be active in order for that.
Exactly.
For that price in your city to be engaged, basically.
Exactly. So it's active time, engaged time, whatever you guys want to call it. And what happened is that when you look at active time is something that most rideshare drivers do because they're busier, So this, by the way, this bill covers every gig company or every company that hires independent contractors to deliver their goods. That includes Amazon Flex, that includes Walmart Spark, that includes Target Shipped. And obviously the big guys, as we know, DoorDash, Uber in rideshare, Lyft in rideshare, Uber Eats, Grubhub, Instacart especially, right? So they passed this law in the Prop 22 became the law of the state and as of January 2020. But the way they had written the law is that they included something called, so let's go back just a couple of sentences. So beside, above and beyond the minimum wage, which is $19.20, which is 120% of minimum wage of the city you're in, they also threw in something called maintenance or mileage expense for drivers, which for 2020 started at 30 cents a mile. So as a rideshare driver for, from January 2020 on, I never received a penny out of Prop 22, because the way it's written is that since it's on active time, and rideshare drivers in LA especially, they make way more than $19.20.
Right.
And then that mileage, expense or maintenance expense addition doesn't even come into play, because we're always at 21, 23, 25. When I go out drive, when they show me the money, I make 30, 35, 40 bucks an hour, including storage or whatever, right? So, only about 8% of rideshare drivers get Prop 22 money. But once I started doing deliveries, which was exactly July of last year.
I remember that, because you and I talked about, you were asking some questions. You were on the show. I was on your guys' show. And I remember you shared some numbers with me and asked, hey, these look good. And you started getting better at it. I do remember that. I can't believe it's been a year already. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's been a year. So, and right away I started getting Prop 22 money. Well, guess what? The reason for that is basically last mile delivery in California and everywhere else in the country is basically working for tips, because base rates are so low, right? But in California, you have the protection of Prop 22 with the minimum wage, as well as the 30 cents a mile addition to the trip that you're taking or the delivery you're doing. So as a rideshare driver, never gotten a penny. As a delivery driver, I was just getting, as many hours as I was driving, I was getting money every 2 weeks. So Uber pays Prop 22 every 2 weeks, just like Grubhub, just like Instacart, just like Lyft. DoorDash pays every week. So but what they do is they basically figure out your active hours, okay? And they multiply that times $19.60, which is the minimum wage. Then they figure out your active miles, because that's pretty easy to figure out, right? They know when you accept it, you go to the restaurant, pick it up, you go deliver the food. It could be 3 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles, whatever it is. And then there is a minimum that's created that way. So if your minimum is below that $19.60 and 30 cents a mile addition, they will give you the difference under Prop 22. That's what they're supposed to do. So all that said, fast forward to April 13th of this year, when Pablo texted me that, he says, you should look into this, because, I read the law, Prop 22, and he says there should have been an inflation adjustment made for the 30 cents a mile, expense that drivers are supposed to get.
And you're talking about an update to your mileage pay in Cali.
That's the end result. So that's what DoorDash said. But before then, so what we did, I looked into it a little bit. We said, okay, this is worth digging into a little bit, right? And then, I like reading like a nerd. I went and read the law. Education is key, man. You say this all the time on your, on your channel. Information and education is power.
Knowledge is power. I believe
Knowledge is power. And so we started digging into it, and sure enough, he in fact made life so easy for me that he even sent the link for the law, and then all I had to do is click and then read it, sentence by sentence. Sure enough, right at the bottom, for anyone who's interested is going to go read it, is under B3Is. There was this clause in there that says, according to the CPIU is Consumer Price Index, that's announced by the Labor Department in Washington every year. Overall, we were supposed to get an adjustment on January of 2022 for whatever the inflation rate was. Well, we know what happened to inflation. Inflation was soaring in the country, right? So when this was written, by the way, this became law January 2020. And then right then and there, the pandemic hit, right? Right about March, states started closing down, cities started closing down. Obviously, Uber Eats took off, DoorDash took off, Instacart took off, right? So now, we're talking, immense amounts of deliveries that done, because rideshare died, but then deliveries took off.
Deliveries took off. Yep.
Right. So here comes January 2022 now, and this adjustment that was supposed to be made was not made. All right. So once we figured that out, now, his text to me was April 13th of 2023. Well, guess what? According to CPIU, another adjustment was supposed to be made January of 2023. Well, we go back, that wasn't made. So now I'm thinking, okay, so assuming inflation was 7%, which I kind of figured it was, the from January 2022, that 30 cents should have gone up to 32 cents a mile. And as of January 2023, should have gone up to 34 cents a mile. Now, you may all think, well, what's the big deal with 2 cents?
Right. What's
here?
2 pennies, 4 pennies?
Yeah, what's the big deal? 2 pennies. And then, I do a little back of the envelope math. So an average rideshare driver, full-timer, by the way, there are 1.4 million gig workers in California. You guys can go check that out.
You know what? I thought there was, I thought there's probably got to be about 1 million in Cali because of the size. But then I thought, man, is that too many? But then I'm actually happy to hear you say that because that's a lot. That's crazy.
Yeah. Pew Research, it's on their website. You can go check it. It's 1.4 million gig workers. According to all these gig companies, as we know, they always say only 20% or so are full-timers, right? So then I'm figuring, okay, if 20% of 1.4 million is 280,000 full-time drivers, right? A full-time driver in California or anywhere will drive 4,000 to 6,000 miles a month, right? And so put that, but now this adjustment has not been made for 17 months now, right? So multiply that times 17 months, you're talking 70,000, 80,000 miles. And at 2 cents and 4 cents, we're talking couple thousand dollars. We're talking couple $1,000s, right?
Yeah.
So, and then figure out all the part-timers, right, who are doing DoorDash and Uber Eats and Instacart and, all these other ones. So I said, this could be a lot of money. So now I said to Pablo, I said, well, in that clause where they figure out or where they tell everybody how the adjustment should be made, what they did, these gig companies are so vague in everything that they do, as we know, and lack of transparency, obviously. What they did was they took the ball and put it in the California Treasurer's Court, which is an elected official in California, by the way, and her name is Fiona Ma.
He says it is an elected official.
It is. She's an elected official. Yeah. So, and she's been the California Treasurer for, since 2019, right? So we said, well, they said, until she figures out the numbers and publishes these numbers, we are not going to pay, for the adjustment, right? And so what happened is that we called the Treasurer's office.
Wow.
And straight up. Yeah. And so some lady answered the phone. We said, well, we want to talk about this Prop 22 adjustment. Okay. Let me tell you something. You guys all have called Uber support, DoorDash support, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. They were better. They were better than the Treasurer's office.
I'm not surprised, actually, because I think sometimes you call an elected official's office, you get the runaround. You got to get through that gatekeeper, and they're going to, I'm not surprised.
This lady had no clue. Okay. Yeah. Didn't know what Prop 22 was? Didn't know they were supposed to do the adjustments. She didn't know anything. And I said, and then she guided us to the IRS website. She thought we were talking about the 65.5-cent IRS mileage deduction.
I go, lady, standard deduction. Yeah,
the standard deduction. I go, lady, no, we're not talking about that. Yeah. I go, we need to talk to somebody who knows about Proposition 22. So, minutes are going by. We have all the records, by the way. So if you guys want to join us on Tuesday, we're going to put all the screenshots, all our proof, all our records out there, because there were some skeptics saying that, oh, these two guys couldn't have figured this out. I'm like, okay. Yeah. I mean, we don't care about any of that. But here's the go. So then they put on somebody on the phone that knew about Prop 22. And we recited the law to him. And I said, listen, this adjustment was supposed to be made by the California Treasurer's office. Then the companies would pay. Until you guys make that adjustment, they're not going to pay. Well, he said the reason we did not make the adjustment, was because in August of 2021, before this adjustment was supposed to be made, Prop 22 was considered unconstitutional by a lower court, and it was under appeal at the time. So that was their excuse, saying that we didn't make the adjustment because it's in litigation.
Interesting.
And we go, okay, fine. So what do? We call a legal scholar, labor law attorney. We do our due diligence, and they all unequivocally said, nope, that's complete BS. The Prop 22 is the law of the land. It's just under appeal.
I'm gonna pull up a couple while we're talking. I'm gonna pull up a couple of screenshots you sent me, okay? Just so the viewers can see some stuff.
So it is the law of the land, right? So you can leave that there. We'll just talk about when I get that. That's going to be the end, actually, Pedro.
Okay.
But let's say that we said, okay, so now we call the treasurer's office again. And this time I said, look, I think you guys are full of smoke. I think you should call, speak to your legal department because Prop 22 is the law of the land. And sure enough, nothing happened for another couple of weeks. Okay. Yeah, this is going to be interesting because this we need to talk about at some point. Anyway, so nothing happened. So we went to social media, obviously, now, because we're like, okay, well, nothing is getting done, and until she publishes these rates, none of the gig companies are going to pay for this adjustment. And now we're thinking this could be tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars that these companies have to pay the drivers. So long story short, Pablo and I tweeted on May 4th, with the California, tagging the California treasurer, saying that
Twitter can be a powerful thing. I think a lot of people underestimate the power of social media. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you got to use all the tools you got in the toolbox with this, right? So we tweeted it, and then to our amazement and shock and surprise, on May 10th, the Fiona Ma, the treasurer of California, tagging us. I think that was her biggest mistake, because if she hadn't tagged us in the tweet saying that, look, we made the adjustment, go to our website, it's all there. And the funny thing is, as an elected official of the fourth largest economy in the globe, which is California, there was no public announcement, nothing was done. And you guys can, tomorrow on Tuesday.
That seems like somebody dropped the ball. Well, multiple people.
I think they all dropped the ball. But look, you don't expect the gig companies to go, out of the goodness of their heart, oh no, we're just going to pay all these hundreds of millions.
No. They're going to be questioned. They're going to wait for somebody to kind of open up that box,
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That's I'm not surprised, and I don't really fault them for that, because that's companies do that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. So no, I don't fault them for that at all. I mean, because it clearly says in the law that she's supposed to make the adjustment, right, and publish it. So sure enough, May 10th, she made she published the new rates at 32 cents and 34, as we thought it would have been. Okay. And then she says on the tweet, she says, spread the word. I'm like, we're the rideshare guy. We have 150,000 subs. How can we spread the word? We're nobodies, right? You're the treasurer of California, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we go click to the website. The first box on her website, it says gig worker inflation adjustment. I'm like, wow. We clicked on that one. It clearly says CPI was 7.1% for 2022. Rate should have been 32 cents. CPIU for 2023 was 6.9%, and rate should be 34 cents a mile. I'm like, okay, great. So one thing is to get this done. The next thing is to have these companies pay.
Well, right. You got to do the first step. You got to have the Treasury Department actually back up that and say, okay, this is supposed to happen. Then the company's going to say, okay, well, we don't want to be in trouble with them and have some kind of fine or whatever. Let's go ahead and pay the drivers.
Well, what happened is that, to my advantage, obviously I'm very close friends with a whole bunch of journalists, from LA Times, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, whatever. So Brian Merchant is a very good friend at LA Times. So what I did was I created this amazing package with all the screenshots, all the evidence, all the logs, all the call logs, everything I had, basically, right? Created a case and put it on his table. I said, Brian, I think you could do a great story with this, because a month before he did, he used actually our tests that we run on the rideshare side as 2 or 4 drivers sitting side by side, and all 4 of them were getting different prices for the exact same trip,
For
right?
the exact same trip. Okay. Yeah.
Right. And then there was Vina Dubal, who was the leading scholar in the country when it comes to labor law. She had written a paper on algorithmic wage discrimination. Okay. And well, all her stuff was basically, the thoughts or her thoughts, right? But we literally proved her case for her. And Brian Merchant was nice enough to put all our videos, all our screenshots in there. So I already had a good relationship. So I sent it to Brian, and he looks at it. He goes, "Is this for real?" I go, "What do you mean, is this for real? Of course this is for real." I go, "She published it. It's right there." So he goes, "Well, if you let me do it, I'll do the story." But he goes, "I have to call the companies. I have to call the treasurer. I have to get their stories, obviously, do my own.
You got to get both sides. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is LA Times. We're not, talking about some,
this
Sacramento
isn't this is LA Times is they have to vet some things, right? So that makes
sense. What he does is he did his due diligence, and a couple of days later he called and said, "Yeah, we're doing it. Editors are go, and we're doing it." I go, "Great." So, we go through it, we helped it. And then, a few days ago, the article was released. And, the rest is history, as they say. But what happens now is that, now we can put up the screenshots, and then I'll walk you guys through it.
So let me pull up what I have here. Let me see here 1 second, because I have it.
Right. So if you go back a little bit to the first one, the one with like half pink, half white, or half whatever that is.
Hold on. Let's go. Click on that. Okay. This one?
No, that's the. I just go back. Yeah, I do it. That one. Yeah. So this is my wife. Okay, my wife does DoorDash, and my wife does Uber Eats. Look, we are total part-time CPU members. CPU means Cherry Pickers United. Okay. so there's like the Pedro. There are 2 unions. Okay.
Yeah.
So one is AFU and the other one is CPU. CPU is Cherry Pickers United. The other one is Ant Formica United.
I knew you were going to say Ant. When you said AFU, I was like, it has to be the Ant word, because I know Sergio he loves using that word.
Yeah, Ant Formica United. So Formica is a Latin word for Ant. So I was like, anyway, so this, and what happened is that once she made that adjustment, right? So it also actually, by making the adjustment, it kind of proved how incorrect she was when it came to the legality. When we first called her and she tried to get rid of us by saying, "Oh, it's under litigation. That's why we didn't publish it," right? Guess what? On May 10th, when they published it.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
Also, on May 10th, when they published it, now actually Prop 22 is being appealed to the California Supreme Court. So it was the same thing. So she figured. By the way, she's running for lieutenant governor of California. I think she blew her chance on that one pretty well. Yeah. But besides that, so what they May 10th was the date. A week later, the first company, actually, to their credit, this is DoorDash's email that my wife received. It talks clearly, for the next 4 slides, it talks about what the adjustment should be. Now, my concern was that because the California Treasurer put this up on May 10th of 2023, 17 and a half months late, right? My concern was that from that day on, they're going to start paying 34 cents a mile, right? Well, to their credit, and maybe to their intelligence of the legal departments, because I'm pretty sure they had some conversations.
Oh, I would imagine so.
They went back because the other thing that I had ready to go was a massive class action lawsuit, and I was going to be the lead plaintiff. Okay. And they said, well, we're going to go back and do it retroactively. We're going to go pay 32 cents for all the miles for 2022. And we're going to go and pay 34 cents for all of 2023, all the way to May 10th. So I'm going like, cha-ching, this is awesome.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Millions. Yeah.
Oh, this is amazing, right? So then 2 days later, Uber sent an announcement. Then Lyft sent an announcement that up until yesterday, Instacart and Grubhub had not done it. Yesterday, they did it. That they're all going back retroactive.
I think DoorDash was the first to pay out. Is that accurate information?
No, DoorDash was the first to send the emails. DoorDash was the second to pay. Uber was the first to pay.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are confused that they're saying, look, I drove 40,000 miles of rideshare. I didn't get a penny. This, by the way, you know who this is going to benefit the most? All the AFU members, Pedro.
All the AFU.
All the people who pick up those $2 trash orders for 5 miles. They are going to swim in cash, bro. Let me tell you, okay? All those people who have been already getting Prop 22 money, that adjustment, because, you know, I'm pretty sure they're driving thousands of miles a month, right? If you're accepting every order, you know, those are the people that are going to benefit the most. However, so this, as you guys see, was my wife's adjustment from Uber Eats, right? And, you know, she got $118.41, and then she got some money out of DoorDash. I got $85.75, and then one of the screenshots is we should talk about that, is my detailed spreadsheet.
I'm going to pull that up next. And basically what it sounds like is, like you're saying, if you're somebody that drove a lot, meaning maybe you took a lot of orders, you probably have a high acceptance rate, you're a full timer, you're going to get more money. But if you're a cherry picker, right, and you made more money than probably that other driver, the AFU, I think you call them, right?
AFU,
you're not going to make as much. You might get the $80, $100, whatever. But there are drivers getting.
No, but you know what it is though, is like our family being a super cherry picking part timers. Yeah, we got $300 in the house. Right. All right. So I have had emails for the last week now since this news broke, so yeah, that's my spreadsheet on the right. Let me pull that one up. That is every single this is what I want you guys to do. If you don't get anything out of this, you guys should get this. This is my every single delivery I have done, and it's about a 10, 11, or 12 column spreadsheet. It's easy to do. It goes back to the first delivery I done in July 11th to July 26th period. It breaks down net earnings, tips, total income, online hours, active hours, utilization rate, active miles per mile, dollars per mile, with the totals on the bottom, dollars per active hour, dollars per online hour, how many trips I have done, average cost of or average pay for the trip, now the minimum, and my Prop 22 money that I got every 2 weeks from Uber Eats. Okay. Now, once you do that, you know if you're profitable or not. Okay. Number one. But the most important thing for me was, Pedro, is that you see where it says active miles, the column right almost in the middle, right? Yep. Now, these companies are absolutely, you know, show no regard for transparency, as we know, right? Even when they're paying, you know, the lack of transparency is embarrassing, right? If you go back like two screenshots, Pedro, there's like a dark screenshot there. That's what DoorDash paid, and that's how it showed. Couple of screenshots backwards. Yep, one more back. Yep, yeah, that one. This is how DoorDash's payment showed up. At least on the Uber Eats side, it said Prop 22 adjustment. Okay. There is nowhere to click here, people. If you got money from DoorDash, in fact, I saw one person said I got $503 or whatever that was. So it says the money just showed up, $127.74. It doesn't say if it's Prop 22 money. It doesn't say how many active miles you drove. It doesn't say nothing. It's just,
I'm not surprised. They're just plopping it in.
Yeah, they're just plopping it in there. So how many people, Pedro, do you think keep a detailed spreadsheet like I do for each single delivery?
I would say, my opinion on that is, I would say less than 1% of drivers.
Less than 1%. Guess what though? I had kept all my active miles, right? And
so you could do the quick math on a calculator on the phone and figure out if that number's accurate. That's why
I did. And guess what? Uber Eats shorted me $3. It should have been $3 more.
Interesting.
On 1,100 deliveries, I drove active miles 3,573 miles, right? And my adjustment should have been 88.75 instead of 85.75. So I'm not going to, cry about it.
Yeah, at this point, $3, maybe a decimal somewhere.
Obviously, but don't you think them knowing, look, they exactly know, by the way, what they're paying out, right? Yep. Because the money just showed up. Why can't you break it down to the driver? You drove, like the person that got $500 some, on average 3 cents, that's like for about 16, 17,000 miles worth of money.
Yeah. I'm not surprised that Uber broke it down, though, because Uber breaks down the fares. At least the ones I've seen, you could break down the fare, like how much the customer paid, how much they tipped, how much this, they do mile, blah. DoorDash do that.
Yeah, well, there you go. And even in under these circumstances where they sent you the money, there's still lack of transparency. There's nothing there. Uber did not break it down, by the way. Uber just said, well, here's the money. It's a Prop 22 adjustment. Okay, go get it. So all this is happening now. LA Times article hits. There you go. I got 165. No, yeah, there you go. So 165 to you, maybe you drove about 5,000 miles. That's about 5,000 miles worth right there.
And DDIS, he's a cherry picker. He's not, from what I know about him at least.
Look, every delivery driver, every last mile delivery driver is going to get money.
Is going to get
I bet you. When you were in LA, you did the one single delivery?
I did, and I actually got that following week. I got the Prop 22 adjustment, which wound up being, I think, about $9.
Right.
But I haven't seen anything in my.
You're gonna get like 2-3 cents.
Probably, yeah. It probably could be something. I haven't, and if it's in the app, I didn't realize it because it just got.
Well, because it just showed up.
It just showed up.
Right?
Actually, I'm gonna look into my earnings while we're chatting. Maybe if you go to
let's see, it showed up. Let me tell you.
If you go to other,
maybe 10 days ago. Maybe
10, so it would have been last week's money, right?
There you go. There you go. See, there's another person.
You know what? Look. Wow.
2 cents?
20 cents. Look.
20 cents.
That has to be right there. There's no other explanation for that to be in there because the only other thing that you could see is 267 and 375. Those were like for canceled orders. So yeah, that 20 cents is from what. So thank you, Sergio. I got 20 cents.
You're welcome, buddy. You're welcome.
That's amazing, actually, that it's in there.
I can tell you that was from pickup to drop off. That probably was about 6 miles or so.
I think the order that I did, I want to say it was only 3 miles. I honestly can't remember.
Doesn't matter.
But it doesn't matter. And you know what's funny? What's funny is I wasn't driving. I wasn't even in my car. So that's a true. Yeah. I need to pass this along actually to the driver.
Yeah, there you go. There's your badge of honor right there.
That's what I need to do.
Yeah. So there's Skillionaire here. It says $228 on Uber Eats, $270 on DoorDash. That's $500 that you didn't have the day before. So now we have to understand the size and scope of this, right? So the transparency on one side, I'm going to push now. Well, now that we got the ball rolling, I'm going to push for something that may sound ridiculous to a lot of people, but I'm going to push for transparency. I'm going to say, nobody does what I do with the crazy spreadsheets that I run, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm a nerd. I do it. I love math. It's not hard to do. Everybody should do it, actually. But how do we know you're paying these people correctly?
Well, if they shorted you $3, right? How do I know they didn't short me 5 cents? So over the course of these millions of drivers we have on the apps, that actually becomes hundreds of millions of dollars, right?
Absolutely.
So that's the thing, and it's hard to always know, and it's hard to get somebody to care about $3. Or I didn't care about the 20 cents. I had no idea. I wouldn't have looked unless you said something. I didn't think about it.
There you go. Right? So the top dollars that I've seen, I've gotten like hundreds of emails saying that I got this much. I got this much. Now this includes Roadie, by the way. This includes all these gig companies. So if you're doing rideshare, most likely you're not going to get money unless you're a chairman of the AFU. Yeah. That means you accepted every single trip on rideshare, and you're such an ant that you are getting Prop 22 money doing rideshare. Yeah. This bill was not designed to pay, okay? This bill was written in a way that no rideshare driver should get any money out of this.
So let me ask you a question. So it seems like, and tell me if I'm wrong, it seems like the drivers that did food delivery and took a lot of orders because maybe Prop 22, I'm going to get my money back anyway. I'm whatever, don't care. Those are the ones that benefited from the adjustment the most. Is that an accurate statement?
Absolutely. Okay. So under Prop 22, Pedro, if you take every order and you're active the whole 60 minutes nonstop. Right.
Which could be very rare, but you could be active for 50 minutes out of an hour, and that's a lot still, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, the utilization could be 95%. And I know drivers like that in my area because, they all run into Chick-fil-A picking up the food, knowing Chick-fil-A is always 15 minutes late.
Yeah, they take everything. If it's $5 going 2 miles, or just I'm taking it.
Yeah, they take not even 2 miles. No, it's the other way around. It's $2 going 5 miles.
Oh, that's crazy.
Because under Prop 22, but you have to understand something. These people are out there. So when Prop 22 was written and became law in 2020, and when the pandemic hit, nobody knew about DoorDash, bro. Nobody knew about Uber Eats, Instacart. Right. It blew up after that, right?
Yep.
So now what happens is that people have figured out this gig, which was under Prop 22. if I'm active the whole hour, nonstop, I'm taking DoorDash, Uber Eats, Instacart, whatever comes my way, I'm taking it, regardless of the money, right? Per hour, you're going to earn about $22 to $23 guaranteed money with Prop 22. It doesn't matter how shitty the orders are you're accepting. Okay.
Yeah, and Dash and Trader just said Prop 22 Dashers deliver no tips. Some do, and the reason
that
for
was
that
the
is,
reason tipping died in California.
Yeah,
because consumer figured out I don't have to tip; they're going to deliver anyway. And a lot of drivers saying I'm going to make minimum of $23, $22 an hour. I'm happy with that, and they're going to take every order.
It's so against like how I do it and how I've been. You know, it's just so different. But we have to realize, you know, in Missouri we don't have something like that, right? So you know, it's
well,
just
you don't want it. Trust me, you don't want it because it killed the delivery market altogether, bro. I'm telling you.
No, I don't want. I'm somebody that at this point in June of 2023, I'm against legislation as a whole, but I understand it has a place in certain avenues. And it's interesting because the legislation that was put into place to replace the AB5, right, the Prop 22, has then allowed somebody like you and Pablo to do some digging, some research, make some phone calls, tweet, and then now millions of dollars are being handed out, and drivers are waking up. You know, it's a big deal, guys. Like drivers woke up with an extra $200 and they didn't even need to work. Well, they had worked for it already.
They worked for it already.
They worked for it already. But still, when you wait, if any of us would open up, if I open up my DoorDash account tomorrow to start my day and my Uber Eats, and I saw money in there, everybody's happy about that, right? So now the conversation goes to, is that what happens after that? You know what I mean? Like,
what happens after that is, you know, like, look, you know, we're not going to let this go yet, right? So what happens next is going to be, you know, there's a lot more meat left on this bone for me anyway. Okay. So we kept digging after even people started getting money. By the way, the top dollars that I have seen so far by any driver were $1,100 on Uber Eats and $700 on DoorDash for one driver.
$1,100 on Uber Eats.
Yes. So that equals, by the way, that equals probably 40,000 miles that person drove. That's the adjustment at 3 cents on average for 2 years. And that guy probably took every order, right? And DoorDash. So that's $1,800. Now, what we have to do is we have to extrapolate that into 1.4 million. I mean, not everybody got it at 1,800.
No, but what's the average, you think? 100 something?
I'm average might be going to be like our family, let's say $300.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
If you're a cherry picker, you're going to get less.
Right.
If you're a full-time rideshare driver, you're going to get almost nothing because it's written that way. The law is written that way. But if you're an only last mile delivery driver, between DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and Instacart, you should get a ton of money. Okay.
Let me ask you a question, Sergio. Yeah. So do you think, right? Because we don't know. I've been learning. It doesn't seem like, I think a lot of us think that the companies to have to pay the Prop 22 to Cali drivers, that they then take less from other states or cities. And I'm somebody I will admit that I have thought that, but it actually the consumer pays an extra fee.
So you know, I sent you the screenshots. Put one of them up, and then you know I'll explain that to you guys, right?
And also though, before you get into that, think about this. So, what do you think DoorDash and these companies might do now that they're paying out this money? Do you think that something might change, like to try to get that money back? What do you think about that?
Nothing is going to change because it wasn't their money to start with.
You want me to pull up that one?
Let me see.
Yeah, I think that's it. CA driver benefits, 99 cents.
Service fee, well, that's okay. I'm not seeing anything, but
okay, hold on. Hold on 1 second.
I think they're gonna be like side by side.
No, I just gotta add it to the screen. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
You're talking about that one.
Okay, so that is an Uber Eats customer receipt. Okay. Now we're gonna dig on this a little bit, right? So pay attention here, people. Do you see from the top where it says subtotal, Pedro?
Mm-hmm.
And then it says service fee. What does it say right under that?
Subtotal service fee. California driver benefits 99 cents
per order, Pedro.
Right.
How many hundreds of millions of orders have gone since 2020?
Yeah.
Okay, we calculated that, by the way. It's close to 1.8 billion orders.
So it's almost like they just that's what they use, and they put it in another balance sheet on their end, and then that's the But that's the adjustment that gets paid, basically. They're using that
No, that's not
99
even
cents.
close to the adjustment they paid. This is much more. This is much more. We figured out, okay, so there is one more with the rideshare trip from, which actually one of my trips. There is a receipt of a customer where it says exactly, again, California driver benefits, right? And it's 75 cents.
Oh, shit. Hold on. Trying to add that. Remove. Hold on a second.
Well, what I'm trying to say basically here is that's the same one, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So on every DoorDash order, on every Uber Eats order, on every Uber rideshare, on every Lyft rideshare, there it is. Do you see where it says California driver benefits?
I do.
75 cents. That's for rideshare. Do you know since Prop 22 passed, Pablo, in January 2020, how many trips, individual trips between rideshare and deliveries these companies have done? It's 1.7 billion trips.
It's crazy.
So if you multiply that on average of 75 cents, that's $1.5 billion.
Yeah.
They have been sitting on this money, these companies, for since 2020. They're collecting on every trip from the customer. The consumer is paying for this, and the consumer doesn't even know that they're paying for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think the consumer,
feel bad.
They're telling the consumer because of a line item, right? But I think most consumers, at least, when we're ordering things, especially on an Uber rideshare, you're not looking at that. You're just saying, okay, it's going to cost me $20 to go from here to there. Okay, whatever. And then, I'm only going to tip or not tip. And if I'm going to order some DoorDash, like, oh, okay, yeah, I see all these lines, and okay, I just
no
need
idea.
What's the bottom line? That's all they care about.
Well, the bottom line is this: the consumer has been paying for this. These companies have been sitting on this money since 2020. They've been collecting interest on this. And to me is, I don't think this proposition would have passed in 2020 if they had told, by the way, they ran CNN commercial after CNN commercial hours at a time, right? And not one of them said, oh, by the way, we're just going to pass it on to the consumer. We're not going to put a penny for Prop 22 out of our pocket. The consumer is going to pay for it. If the consumer knew this, do you think Prop 22 would have passed? Absolutely not, right? So now what we're digging into now is, since this is a consumer-funded proposition, right? Why don't you tell us where that money is? Why don't you tell us where that $1.5 billion is? Because look, you didn't pay the adjustment for 18 months, 17 months, right? And I'm 100% sure the money is not going to equal what they're paying out, is not going to equal to what they have collected so far from each single trip. Okay.
Let me ask you a question. Does it have to?
What's that?
Does it have to?
Who? The company?
Does it have to equal out? Yeah.
No, it doesn't have to. They could be making hundreds of millions of dollars.
Well, that's my point. So it's like, I don't think we'll ever come to a point where they'll open those books and show us,
Oh, no, they will. When the Attorney General's office calls next week, they will, because we're already talking to them.
So you think that's going to happen?
Oh, they better.
Interesting. So this is not,
this is the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. So when you texted me a couple weeks ago, he's like David versus Goliath, and David, I was like, oh, this is kind of exciting shit, and I'm not in Cali, and I know I'm learning more about this, but I don't live it every day. So for me, it's very different. Right. But it sounds like you're still going at it.
No, we just started. We just started.
And
we just started. And to Pablo's credit, this is, I have a partner in crime every Tuesday. His name is Chris. We all know, right?
Yep.
On this one, my partner in crime was Pablo Gomez. And guess what? Pablo Gomez he's only a rideshare driver. He's an amazing rideshare driver. He makes $40 an hour in LA. He has never gotten a penny out of this. But what he did was he educated himself. He read the law. He brought it to me, and I amplified it. And Brian Merchant did an amazing story. He did his research, and we just started digging now, right? So we want to know, well, we could push and say, by the way, you should send every driver a breakdown of their active miles instead of just throwing money in their face. But let's not complain about free money.
Right.
But we also want to know, as like DoorDash, how much is this costing you? As Uber Eats or Uber or Lyft or Grubhub or Instacart, how much is this costing you? Why can't you guys come out and say that? Because, if you look at their earnings reports, not a line item is in there, because I read all of them. Not a line item is in there with how much money this is going to cost them. So we're just estimating it's $200-300 million. But now what I want to do is I want to know, on each single trip, if you're collecting between 75 cents and $1.50 on each single delivery, each single rideshare trip, this includes rideshare, That was a rideshare receipt. And clearly it says the rider is paying this to Uber, and you are not supposed to get any part of this until you drive enough, and maybe
then maybe you get some of it, a percentage of it, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so where is the beef? Where's the money? Because they could be pocketing this money. Look, the other thing is, all this money that's sitting there, they've been earning interest, and because of a technicality between the treasurer's office and them, they did not pay the drivers all these hundreds of millions of dollars, right, for a year and a half. Well, they're earning money. They basically also got an interest-free loan. So we could continue pushing this. Meaning,
you know what it sounds like? Taxes. Let's not get canceled though. But you know what I'm saying? You know, we pay the taxes and the government uses it. You know what I'm saying? And then they give us back what it's very similar. It's like a siphon of like this funneling of money, and you don't know what's really going out and how much they got and how much you're gonna get. You're kind of just waiting to get something. It's interesting.
But on the other hand, Pedro, if the shoe was on the other foot, right, and we were holding their money for a year and a half, do you think they would have asked for interest?
No, they would have deactivated us or something like that.
Well, no, but I'm saying if it was the other way around, they would have asked for interest. So now I'm actually going, why don't we just start a class action, ask for all the interest on the money that they're paying us? I mean, I think it's going to be a few $100 more million. So to me, I am totally, for transparency, for gig worker rights. But this proves one thing and one thing only. If you educate yourself, if you read a lot, if you dig a lot, you're going to run into it. Don't think these companies are all what you guys make it out to be. This algorithm, that algorithm, they're so smart. No, man, two schmucks in LA figure this out. And look what happens. Okay? Come on now.
No, I think that's a good point. I think you have to be willing to ask the right questions, open the right doors, make the right tweet, pick up the phone. I do want to bring something up. Because I know you're not somebody that holds back, right? And I saw the interview with you and Harry, right? And I saw the little. For those of you who don't know, Minnesota. I think this could be a good little segue. I want to get your thoughts on this and the chat as well. Okay.
So whoever got money, sorry, hold on. Whoever got money, you can email me. Say, Sergio, I got this. Sergio, I got that. Because we're trying to create a list. My email is sergio@therideshareguy.com. Even if you got $10, $50, $100, $1,000, $500, I saw already a couple of people with $500, $400, $500, $600. I'm like, send me the email, and we're collecting data, because there's the next leg for this to continue this little battle that we have.
No, I like that. Yeah, reach out to Sergio. He's very communicative with.
I'll respond to every
community, man, especially out in Cali. I saw it firsthand at Curvebore. The guys that were coming out and seeing you, and like. It was really awesome. But okay, so Minnesota, governor strikes down the proposal, and then I see. I want to bring it up because I think it's fascinating to me. I don't watch a lot of YouTube channels anymore, but your guys' Show Me the Money Club is one I do watch just about every week. I watch the little clips, because I like to keep up with that side, right? Because I got the food delivery side and the other stuff. So, anyways, okay. So I see you and Sergio going, you and Harry going back and forth. You put up a little short. He's like, well, Sergio, I don't know. It's just going to affect the oversaturation and this and that. And I think both of you guys, in my opinion, actually made really valid points. Okay. Right. I didn't see like a clear winner. But I think both of you guys made good points, but I thought it was funny that he didn't read some of the bills. So I thought it was really smart of you to kind of dig on that. Anyways, I'm bringing this up and I want you guys to watch it. If you go to the Rideshare Guy, it was a video just from the other day. It's like a 20-minute video. It's really good. Okay. Sergio and Harry. But what is when you hear Harry say, right? And I got to be honest, some of it I understand, like the point he makes about oversaturation and, the long-term effects of this and, maybe chopping down the market and passengers might not, they're getting overcharged, or what would it do for future drivers? I kind of get some of that. Yeah. What are your thoughts to like that? Like, are we trying to get a short-term win that might affect us long-term? Or do we need the things like in Minnesota and Colorado? And you know what I'm saying? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, there is a push around the country in many different states. There's one coming up in Illinois. There's one coming up in Nevada. Basically, that's going to strip Uber of their, rights acting outside of the transportation laws in those states and make him equal to buses and cabs and things like that, right? But they're fighting on it. In Minnesota, it came down to the veto because both houses in Minnesota had passed, and yes, there will be a rideshare job. Absolutely. Don't worry about any autonomous vehicles. Those things are not as smart
Now,
as you guys think.
5 years from now, I definitely believe it will be. Now, do I think 50 years from now? I think it
Oh,
will
50,
be.
yeah. Well, we'll be all dead
It'll
in 50
be
years.
yeah. Well, but no, but it'll be
Yeah.
like it'll be basically non-existent in my
Yeah.
opinion. Maybe even it could be 30, but yeah, in
Yeah.
5 years, I think we're pretty much in
So,
the same spot.
going back, Harry is my little troll on the rideshare guy,
Oh,
right?
bro, listen,
So,
he was trying to come at you.
yeah.
He said a few things. I was like, damn, did he really just say that? And I was like, okay, all
And
right.
no, we go at it. We go at it. And but to his credit though, right? Because
Yeah.
most people would go like, "Oh, he's your boss. You shouldn't say this." I'm like, "No, I'm not going to hold back. I'll just
No,
start
no, no. I
posting
think you
all
guys have a really it's actually really good because it's respectful enough and you're both educated in your own way, right? So I think
Yeah,
it's actually the way it should be. It's not,
yeah.
it's
No, we're gonna.
positive
He made
growth.
some points. Look, he made some points that were
He did.
to a point it's valid, but he was arguing something about a law that he hadn't even read. Right. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
I read every single page of that law too. Okay.
Right.
And I figured out that there was a clause in there that the drivers did not take out at the last minute, which was they did not give up their rights for collective bargaining and unionization. And Uber doesn't like that. Look, we have only a single model in the whole country, okay, that has been working with the same almost, the Minnesota bill was almost the carbon copy of the Washington State Seattle bill, okay, carbon copy. Lower rates, of course, but it was a carbon copy. The only difference is the drivers in Seattle gave up their rights to unionize and gave up their rights for collective bargaining. And they said, we're going to stay independent contractors.
Mm-hmm.
And Uber agreed to $1.50 a mile and 64 cents a minute rates. Just on the 64 cents, that's $40 an hour. Okay?
That's crazy. It's
Guess
crazy.
what acceptance rates are over the last 18 months in Seattle and Washington State? 93%. Why would I decline a trip when I'm getting paid that kind of money? Right?
At that point, it doesn't. Yeah, it's the money.
Because you're super profitable. Now the other thing they got is they got 80% of employee rights by staying independent contractors. The only reason that happened is because they gave Uber the rights to tell them, okay, you're never going to be my employee. They accepted that, and they got all these rights and highest rates. Now, Harry's point, I actually invited all the Uber execs, and they will not come on the show, right? And I do it continuously, especially their PR people. If you're watching, Mr. Goldstein and Mr. Gold, you're welcome to come on and we'll talk about it. Is this, show me the numbers. Once they raised the rates in Seattle over the last 18 months, what was the effect on ridership? Has demand collapsed? No, it hasn't. It has actually exactly stayed the same. So in Minnesota, when they said rates are going to double, you may become an employee. Mm-hmm. You may lose your flexibility, which is the same playbook that they use in every.
They were being they were exaggerating for effect.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
That's how I look at it.
Rates were not going to double. The only thing that they did not do is that they didn't get the rights didn't get the rights from the drivers for them to stay independent contractors. If they hadn't,
and that's where they failed, right? I think
that's where they failed. That's where the bill failed.
Yeah,
that's where the bill failed, and Uber said we're really going to pull out, or we're just going to look. Uber has an app, Lyft has an app, DoorDash has an app. Like we know Top Dasher, right? It's almost like scheduling and things like that. You're almost acting like an employee anyway. You have to have this kind of acceptance rate to drive here, blah, 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 right?
Sure.
So Uber can do that easily through the app. They're not going to accept everybody to drive. Maybe they're going to allow, 1,000 people between 8 and 9 a.m. in this neighborhood to drive, right? And you have to schedule, you have to, get a shift for yourself. And they could do all kinds of things. They own the app. You can't just cry foul. But, now there is a commission. We need another commission, like we need another hole in the head. And they said, oh, we're going to talk and we're going to figure this out and whatever. This was their chance. They failed passing it. And they watered the bill down. They really gave up quite a bit, Pedro. I mean, a ton of stuff they gave up. From the first version of the bill to what it passed was like night and day, and still couldn't do it. These two battles, drivers lost, right? The transparency bill in Colorado a couple of weeks ago, which was shot down by two Democrats. These are all Democratic bills, by the way, that were sponsored by Democratic senators.
And shut down by Democrats, though.
Yeah. Yeah, they were Democrats, and then the governor is a Democrat in Minnesota, and
Yeah,
he, it was his first veto in five sessions.
it's weird. It's weird. Yeah, a
I mean,
lot of
look,
people.
everybody's
I mean,
saying he was
I
cold.
saw a lot of people really impassioned by that, basically saying he's in Uber's pockets and all this stuff. And I
Look,
don't
man, they
know.
say the same
You
thing
know,
for Harry.
they say the same thing. But at the end of the day, if the bill wasn't done 100%, and I think when you're
Yeah,
passing laws, all the I's and the T's should be crossed. That's my
yeah,
opinion. Okay.
yeah.
And so if it got turned down, but it wasn't done correctly,
Yeah.
isn't some would say that's a good thing then, right?
Well,
Like if
yeah,
it
yes and
wasn't.
no, but I think what, if we can go back to the debate or whatever you want to call it that Harry
Mhm.
and I did for a few minutes there was that, he didn't believe. He agreed that they were, they weren't going to pull out, right? That's the 3-year-old going to the corner and crying. So he didn't believe also that oversaturation would be an issue because it was such a lucrative thing, right? Everybody would quit their minimum wage jobs and become Uber and Lyft drivers, right? That's not going to happen.
No,
What
because you gotta have
happened
a
is
you
that
gotta have the car. You gotta. There's other things you need to
there's
have.
many things that go into it. So
Yeah.
oversaturation, market's already oversaturated. I don't think because of macroeconomic conditions, people's W-2s are not enough. They're out there
Yep.
driving a little part-time here and there, making a couple
There's
hundred
more.
bucks.
There's more. There's no more people right now delivering, shopping, or doing
Yeah,
rideshare than ever before
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Because
for various
it's the
reasons. But
economy.
yeah,
Yeah, it's the
economy.
economy.
People,
So
because inflation has rose. Rent being the most important, but then also rent with the food prices. People
yeah,
now that had a job that maybe they were making 40 or 50 grand a year, and they
yeah.
have a family or two household incomes. They're bringing in 100K. Well, that 100K does not stretch the way it did in
Nope.
2019, 2020.
Well, I mean, I
Very
study
difficult.
quite a bit of the stuff. If you look at average income in the United States, adjusted to inflation, has actually been going down for the last 7-8 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to make more money to just
People
keep
have
pace
to
with inflation.
instead of taking the Saturday afternoon off, they go out for DoorDash for 4 hours to make $100.
Exactly.
And that is the average person, or they do rideshare on a Sunday night,
Yep.
right? If there's a concert or a ball game, they'll go out for a couple hours, make $80,
Yep.
right? Oh, they feel good. I made $40 an hour. I just drove people
Yeah.
around in my Uber
No,
car.
I mean,
And that's the
times are
average
tough,
person.
man.
That's
Like times are
bad.
tough. The other thing with the Minnesota bill was that, when Harry said, "Oh, prices are going to double," look, there is obviously price elasticity when it comes to rideshare or food delivery. We all know that, which is the higher the fares go, the higher the delivery fees go, the less demand is going to be. I get that. But what I want to do is I want to have a really civil debate or discussion with Uber executives telling me, because there's only one place I can compare this to, which the laws in Washington State and Seattle have been in effect for 18 months. I think that's enough of a sample size you have. It's not 18 days, 18 months. You have a demand curve destruction, or what happened to demand in Washington State. The prices clearly went up on the passenger side. One thing
Right.
that Uber and Lyft and all these other companies also don't talk about when they oppose all these bills, right, is this is a fact. I gather my data from a source called Yipit Data. You all are welcome to do it. It costs me $700 a month, every single month, to gather all the information through all the state
$700 a month.
a month. Yeah,
Oh, that's crazy.
yeah, but that's because I use it for when I do consulting for hedge funds and
Okay,
Wall Street
got it.
firms
Got
and
it.
things
Okay,
like that.
okay,
I
okay,
need to have live data, right?
okay.
According to Yipit Data, Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Grubhub, all of them have raised rates on the consumer to the tune of 30 to 50% since 2019. This is the only time they were going to share the wealth with the drivers, and they said no, boo hoo 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 hoo. So let's do this. Since 2019, they have raised the rates on their own 30 to 50% on average rideshare trip, because I'm a consumer on all these apps, by the way, as well as a driver.
Mhm.
So when I used to take a 10-mile trip and pay $10, that same trip in LA now is $20 3 years later,
Yep. Yep.
right? Well, driver is not getting that extra 10. The companies are, because their take rates keep going higher and higher and higher, right? So to me, if you are able to charge 50, 60, 70% more for a ride in certain trips, and last quarter, Uber did the most trips ever in their history, 2.1 billion trips, individual trips they did in 3 months. They were doing 1 million rides per hour, 24/7,
Well, let
365.
me ask you a question. When I hear something like that, I feel like a lot of people now don't drive for various reasons. Kids don't drive. That's why Uber has the Uber Teen, which is a whole nother thing. But I feel like people don't have cars. They can't keep up with a car payment, whatever.
Yeah.
So people have to use the apps more, don't you think?
Yeah, well,
just based off those, those few.
But what
examples.
I'm trying to say is that, isn't that like kind of, their argument of if we raise fares, demand is going to go down. It's just that argument falls on its face because you've been raising rates since 2019 to the tune of 30 to 60% nationwide anyway.
But the demand's gone up.
And demand is at an all-time high. So don't come to me and cry, oh, in Minnesota, rates are going to go up. People are not going to use Ubers. Oh, demand is going to get crushed. You're going to lose your flexibility. I call it bullshit to all of that. Bring me the data. I'm a reasonable person. Show me the Seattle data. Show me the Washington State data. Let's see how badly demand got crushed when rates doubled there. It didn't. Yeah. Nothing happened. So to me, all these arguments, when they come up with it, it's the same playbook, scare tactics. The biggest thing they have, Pedro, is their power. Their power to push all these, notifications within the driver app and the passenger app. To the passenger, they push notifications saying, oh, your rates are going to double. And then simultaneously to the drivers, they push, oh, you're going to lose your flexibility and freedom, right? If I had an app like that I could push, notifications to all the drivers, man, I would bankrupt Uber in a heartbeat. You know what I'm saying? Because I would tell them, turn all your apps off for an hour. Let's see what happens, right? So to me, I think all that stuff in Minnesota came down to that one single clause in the bill, which was the drivers became a little greedy. They didn't give up their rights to unionize and collective bargaining. And the governor said, nope, that's not going to happen. Although Minnesota is a very union-friendly state, which to me kind of goes, I don't know. But I think I've spoken to both, by the way, Senator Fatah and Stephanie Vigil in Colorado, the sponsors of the bill. I've spoken to both, and they said, we're going to come back, with the better version. And hopefully we're going to get to guide them a little bit in what they need to do so we can pass these bills. And these are all good bills. I don't think they're going to hurt flexibility. I don't think they're going to hurt freedom. And everybody, in Washington State, they have created a win-win-win situation. The passengers are taking the trips. They're not quitting taking rideshare. The drivers are making really good money. They have a lot of rights, healthcare, paid time off, sick leave, all that good stuff. And Uber is also making money. Uber is making 50% of a bigger pot now because they're charging more. So it's a win-win-win situation. And I'm not saying Seattle or Washington State model could be duplicated in every state because every state has different cost of living, adjustments and things like that, right?
Right.
So Seattle is a very expensive city, but a little bit less of a version may work in Minnesota. A little bit less of a version may work in Arkansas. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that when there's a push now, and I'm going to do everything in my power to, if it's a reasonable bill, I'm going to be for it. And I want everybody in their states to go talk to their legislature and read the law, man. Read the law, just like we read Prop 22 and getting shit ton of money to people, right? Just read, educate yourself. If you're for the bill, go support, talk to your legislator.
Sure.
Right?
Well, and that's like, we should be voting. We should be knowledgeable about what's going on locally, whether it's your local council person, your alderman, your alderwoman, like, these things are important because if you don't, right, then you can just have an opinion, but you can't really, be too, you can't, if you don't make yourself knowledgeable and choose to vote and have your voice heard, you can't really say much, right? No. Now, I am to the point of, I still believe like too much legislation and government intervention could be a negative, but that's just me, right?
I'm not a huge fan of the government, bro. Trust me.
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm not saying you are.
No, I'm not. For me, all I'm saying is, at some point, though, right? I'm a capitalist. I was on Wall Street for 20 years.
Yeah.
I wish I was the one who figured out Uber. I'm always like that guy, right? But at some point, fairness has to come into play. When I see your chat, you're talking about dollar,
You want to hold the company accountable. When that's kind of what I get when I have these conversations with you. It's like, hey, show me the money, right? Yeah. That's the thing. Show me where's. Like, I want to see how the bacon's being cooked. You know what I'm saying? Like, Sergio wants to
show me the money
behind the scenes.
I'm like, but when I do enough deliveries now, when my add-ons in LA are $1.50 on Uber Eats and DoorDash.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I go, well, this has to end. I mean, I start my car, it's $1.50 right there. Yeah, so I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Right. So to me, it's like, the knife has hit the bone now. Okay, you're stabbing me enough.
Yeah.
Now it's like hitting the bone. It can't go anywhere. It's like, what am I going to do for? Although, all us cherry pickers are looking like idiots now because all the guys that were picking up, $2 5 mile orders are swimming in cash with the California.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I'll say this, let's say you're somebody that was doing those $2-3 going 5-6 miles. Now you just got $1,000, which is nice. But over the course of that time frame,
it doesn't make any difference.
It doesn't. You see what I'm saying? Because they still sacrificed the money then to maybe get something now, whereas you were taking good runs and you made more money. Were way more profitable then.
So there, my spreadsheet is there. You can share it with whoever you want. I have nothing to hide. And to me, the important thing is, people don't know. Like the consumer does not know that they are paying for driver benefits in California. That's a big thing. So more than educating now the drivers, we need to start educating the consumer a little bit, saying that, by the way, you're paying through the nose. And
listen, I just want the consumer to leave me a damn tip. That's all I really
want.
And if I'm doing rideshare, I don't want them to do something stupid in my backseat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I 100% agree. Yeah, because I mean, rideshare, you can still make okay money, right? I mean, I say this and a lot of people get mad at me. Delivery has absolutely become, base pay is so horrible that delivery has become working for tips. These guys next to the freeway now, I work for food, and then you just got to hold up and say, I work for tips. That's it. Yep. If it was no tip, I don't think delivery is worth it. Now it may be worth it in New York City if you're on an e-bike or a scooter, all that stuff. That's a different story. But in LA, that's spread out wide, or California, mostly spread out wide.
Lot more miles driven.
A lot more miles, a lot more
time on the highway with the traffic or whatever.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. So to me, it's like, hey, this best base pay has gone down low enough. Come on, now. I don't care how many bells and whistles you pin. You go about. Diamond Zone. By the way, we're gonna talk about another 3 hours about that.
Listen, I've been getting beat up for the last 2 months about Diamond Zone, but it's fine.
The mental BS that they put people through. You know what I'm saying? So to me,
thanks, Rideshare Hustler. Let me read this comment real quick. I might have to come on. I moved to California in November. I can understand how you are making 30+ average on rideshare out here. Please explain. I'm in LA. Drivers say they make 1,440 hours. Damn.
Yeah, those are the guys. 1,440 hours is $30 right there, buddy.
Yeah.
Actually, more than that, $35. How do you make it? Well, Rideshare Hustler, I'll answer your question real quick. On our channel, we always talk about the 3 Ps. I added a 4th P. P as in Paul. 4th P to it. The first P for a rideshare driver is going to be patience. Okay, but actually, I have applied all those 4 Ps to my delivery now, which is exactly the same. First one is patience. Second one is position. You need to get to where the surge is before the surge happens. You need to study the surge maps. You need to position yourself correctly. The trip you're on is the least important trip for you. Where it's taking you is the most important thing. That's 2. That's the second P. Third P is planning. If you're living outside LA, look, LA is as big as it is small. It's from Santa Monica to downtown to Hollywood to Inglewood, which is LAX. Okay. That if you're in that hot zone, you're going to make good money. But then Uber is going to throw you, or Lyft is going to throw you trips that take you out of the zone. Or you may be living 30 miles out of the zone like me. I live 30 miles outside LAX. Well, what do? I go look at reserve trips. I go look at scheduled trips on Lyft, okay? Those are the best trips you can get, and all you're going to get paid to go into the hot zone. Then you can work, right? You can make money. So there, and then my 4th P that I added now is profitability. You have to really make sure that you're profitable and do, profit and loss analysis like I do with each shift of mine.
Yeah, and you gotta crunch those numbers at the end of the week and then say, okay, where did I make a mistake? Like I thought I had a good day, but actually it looks like I didn't have as great of a day. Or you have to crunch those numbers because even the hustler saying, hey, driver made $1,400. He didn't make $1,400.
He didn't make $1,400.
He didn't make $1,400 because he had to hit some expenses and other things. So you have to really dissect it all the way down. Yeah. Because I can go out and maybe make I only made $500 this week on DoorDash, but I didn't work that much, right? Yeah. But I didn't make $500 because I had cost. I had fuel cost.
Yeah, you gross. No, you gross $1,400. That's what make should be eliminated from gig worker dictionary. You didn't make anything. Yeah. You grossed $1,400. Yeah. And then once you look, even if your expenses are $400 out of that $1,400, and the guy worked 40 hours, that's $25 net. I think that's a lot more than minimum wage in in LA.
No,
It's
it
15.
is. It
So
is.
the thing that I want to preface, Pedro, is that the other thing is I think the gig workers' expectations are too high. Okay, I mean, sorry, you guys get mad at me on this one. What are you guys comparing yourselves to? What? Right? You're driving A to B, picking up food here, dropping off there. I mean, look, it's better than digging ditches, man. And people who dig ditches are not making $20 an hour.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Stop
I mentioned
complaining about, this is the. I'm like, hey, this is the game you're in. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, it's better than most things, right? And rideshare may be a little bit more difficult because you're dealing with people. But when you're delivering food,
it is.
If you're patient enough, you're multi-apping, I think you could make a lot more money than going flipping burgers somewhere. I mean, that's a fact.
You can. And I think for me, I think we have to remember this is entry level work, right? And a lot of people don't like when I say that, but it's the truth. And I do it, so I can say that. I'm not preaching on a high horse. I delivered food as recent as Friday, right? So we have to understand that this is the type of work that is mostly done by people in a very short amount of time, whether a couple of months, a week or two, and for 4 to 10 hours a week, especially with the food delivery apps. Rideshare is a little bit different, but we have to understand the kind of work we're doing and how they view us. And I do not recommend this job full time. I've been kind of talking about that a lot. I think part time is the way to go, and then having another form of income is more sustainable long term. For various reasons, because if anything, your pay is going to go down each year or stay the same. So let's say it stays the same, but inflation goes up, you're losing.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not going to be sustainable. I think I'm always trying to tell my viewers and subscribers and people that watch, like, hey, what's the next thing? What are we working on here? Like, what's the next thing so you can actually level up some income?
You can compare this to, let's say, on the last mile's delivery side, right? Package delivery, Walmart, Spark, this and that too. UPS driver, FedEx driver, right? But they're employees, they have benefits, they have other things, and they make $25 an hour driving somebody else's truck. They're not driving theirs. But they work hard, but they make good money. If you have seniority, things like that, you have to add those benefits, the health insurance part, all this other part. I'm kind of, when I first started in 2015, rideshare was absolutely amazing. Like I would drive literally 40 hours with shits and giggles. I would literally $3,000 to $3,500 every single week.
Those are good old days, man. Good old days.
But what has happened is that now, what you just said is what the gig economy is for now. It's an absolutely amazing, perfect side hustle.
Yeah, okay? I agree. Yeah.
And if you're going to do it full time and you're not employable, you cannot do anything else, like immigrants, and a lot of people are doing this and not knowing, and now they're getting all this money in California. They don't even know where it's coming. Actually,
and I got a lot of immigrants do this work, and that's a lot, especially in St. Louis. I mean, we're not a super diverse city, but where I live, there's pockets of it. Yeah. And people from West Africa, people from Asia, Hispanics, and
absolutely,
I have no problem with it. For me, I want people to make money, but it's definitely when you have that and you have somebody that English is a second language, the barrier to entry is going to be low, but also they're not going to know sometimes, right? They're not going to know that they don't have to do this or don't have to do that. And the companies know that, and they prey on that a little bit. So.
Yeah, they exploit. I mean, look, there is certain validity to that they exploit. And look, if you go to Miami or Florida, a lot of Haitians are driving, Ubers and Lyfts and rental cars on top of that. But they work hard. They work 50, 60, 70 hours and send a few $100 back home. Look, everybody's reason is different to drive. But from the evolution of the gig economy is such that, it was a great, actually almost a full-time job. I mean, seriously, 40 hours driving people around, talking to people, making, grossing $3,000. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
You can't complain
about
that.
Now it's for me, it's like, I still am active on 7-8 different apps because I want to write about it. What I write about it, I want to get my hands dirty before I say something, and that like some other channels do. They just say stuff, and I'm like, that's not even fact.
You got to have your hands dirty. You have to. You have to know. You have to have your hands dirty.
And then that's what I do, and I go out 10, 20 hours a week. Like this last week, actually, I did 35 Lyft trips. Right? They had shown me the money. They gave me a guarantee. In 7 hours, I grossed $550. Because of the guarantee. I did all short trips and took their money. I'm sure they lost their ass on that. But when they show me the money, I'm no fool. I'm on a drive. And when they don't show me the money is the time that my car stays in the garage. Okay. But I'll go do food delivery then. I'll go do some other stuff. I enjoy myself. So but it has become a perfect side hustle.
Yeah, no, I think for me, it's the best side hustle to start initially, because then there's some things you can learn about running your P&L, running your business, time management, looking at your numbers, and then that could fold into other ways of making money. So I think it's a really good segue into becoming a small business owner, or if you have other
Absolutely.
dreams and ambitions. And then what's great about it is, obviously, everybody knows this, it's here, right? You do it whenever the fuck you want to do it. So if I don't
Absolutely.
want to work tomorrow,
Yeah.
I built it to where I don't have to work, but I can go work and make a quick $100 and not really. It's not a big deal.
Absolutely.
It's not hard, and that 100 can float me for whatever bill I want to pay or gas for the week or whatever it is, right? And
Absolutely.
that's what I like about it. And if something
Absolutely.
happens and I need $1,000, I
Yeah.
just go hustle for a week and I make $1,000 cash, and
Absolutely.
it's a
Absolutely. And
great thing to do. I
And
still rep that.
that's one thing. Look, is the gig economy all bad? Hell no, it's great,
No,
right?
it's not.
And then
It's
is there
mostly
things to
really
fix?
good, I think. Yeah.
Are there things to fix? Absolutely. But this is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. I don't want any of these companies to go under or away. Okay, it's not my goal. But somebody's got to hold their feet to the fire. And
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair.
look, I'm not asking for much. I'm just asking for transparency. I mean, the consumer is
Yeah.
paying for each delivery and rideshare trip in California. Where's this money?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's the accounting on this money?
Yeah.
It's not that. I mean, you guys run all these, algos. I mean, somebody is keeping track of all this, money
Yeah.
coming in, money going out. How
Yeah.
many drivers are benefiting from Prop 22? You know what I'm saying? So to
Yeah.
me, there is ways to do this, and a balanced way, I think, is the best way. And I know I
Yeah.
follow you religiously, obviously, and you're doing it a very balanced way. And to me, as a, I'm not going to call myself a content creator or whatever. Like, I really like what I'm doing, and I like reading, and I like math, and I just got to make sense of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
lot of drivers get too emotional about this. Like,
Mhm.
I'm like, don't get all fired up, bro. It's all
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
And don't compare yourself to a quarter at Google that you make $100,000. Can you make 100,000 in the gig economy a year? Hell yeah, I think
It's
you
gonna,
can.
but it's gonna be really hard.
It's going
If
to be hard. You're
it's
going
gonna
to
be
have to be out
hard.
there 70, 80 hours a week.
Yes, you could do it, and I've seen even some content creators do it. But I would also say, how long can you sustain that? Right? It's
Yeah,
different than making 100 grand as a salary at a job, right?
yeah,
Because you do have some time and maybe some PTO. I've seen
yeah,
some drivers, they're working 7 days a week, and it's like at some point you're gonna hit a wall. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
you have to have a little bit of a balance, and that balance is going to be different for everybody. But for me, find your sweet spot, right? Find where you can make that. If you need to make $1,000 a week, 4K a month, right, to pay your bills and to pay your taxes and put some aside for the rainy day, right? Because most of us, there's no 401k, there's no profit sharing with these companies,
There's
right?
no
You have to do
healthcare.
it.
There's none of that.
You
Yeah,
have to do it yourself. So if it's at 1,000, I'll just use it as a baseline.
yeah,
Okay, if you used to do it with all gig economy, rideshare, food delivery, a mix of whatever, how can you do 700 a week and then 300 doing something else? So you
exactly.
figure out a balance, and you're going to be a lot less stressed out probably too. At least I
Absolutely.
am.
And
You know what I
and
mean?
then you're not going to hate these companies when they send you a $2 crash
Exactly.
order. I mean, it's like,
Exactly.
I go, letting you know right now is not good, right? Okay. In my area, by the way, I don't know, because I deliver in a upper middle class white suburban neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my orders have died.
Really?
I'm not. Yeah, I swear to God. I mean, like, I would be on. Okay, so I'll give you an example. I was doing the Lyft trips this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both apps were on. Uber Eats was on, and I was doing Lyft rideshare at the same time. A little dirty apping never hurt anybody. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
would pick up a passenger, drop like half-mile pickup, 1 mile drop off, and I'm always staying in this area with all these restaurants, right? So my app was on like 17 hours on both. I got like 4 Uber Eats pings, bro.
That's
I was like,
crazy.
holy crap, that's crazy. That's low. That's slow.
I think for me in St. Louis, I've tried to deliver, and we're going to bring some people on. Me and Sergio are going to wrap this up and bring some people up, so just hold tight. But I want to say this because you just reminded me. When I go to like Chesterfield and Ladue, nicer areas for food
Yeah,
delivery, right, or even rideshare,
yeah,
it's slower.
yeah,
And for me, I like the food delivery on the lower income, kind of
yeah,
like everyday, regular person struggle. Like those are the ones that actually have to
yeah,
order and tip, and those are the ones that don't have a car, so they need a ride to work. Like,
yeah,
so I like, you're gonna get some really good payouts in a
yeah,
richer area, more
yeah,
affluent. But I like the middle class and below. For me, that's where the money's at least in St. Louis. And I've tried both. I've sat in Chesterfield really nice area in St. Louis, I'll sit there for an hour. It won't go off one time.
Yeah, man. I was like, is it on? Is it on?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Refresh.
I was like,
Yeah.
I go airplane mode, come back out. I go, is it on? I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I could totally.
I still did 4 trips, by the way, while I was, while I was doing rideshare. I would just pause the other one, do the delivery. So $550, I made about $90 on Uber Eats while I was doing rideshare. So it was like $650 for like 17 hours online, and total active time was like maybe 8 hours, like $80 an hour. I go, who the heck is gonna pay me $80 an hour, bro? Nobody. Right? So Darkfire MCBE, yes. Look, man, see, that's a perfect example. He's doing rideshare, food is slow, $23 an hour, which is benefiting me. Don't look at that hour that much. Figure out your costs, figure out your expenses, please. And then come back to me with a number, because $23 gross, if it's your net, if you're already figured out all your expenses with a spreadsheet, great. If you haven't, figure out.
It's probably 17. It could go down $6.
Yeah, 17, 18, which is about, fair. Obviously, there's risk involved in driving people. We hear all the time now, this guy got carjacked, this guy got murdered, this is what happened, that's what happened, but you're taking these risks. But I'm sure you can incrementally improve that 23. Look, if you improve that 23 to 25, 26, right? Just to $3-4 or $2-3 an hour.
That's a big difference over the course of a year.
Over a month, that's going to make a huge difference in your overall numbers. So don't look at it as like, oh, can I double 23 to 46? No, it's not going to happen.
No. You just need to make, if you can add $5 an hour on average, it's $10,000 a year.
Huge.
It's $10K a year if you're doing 40 hours a week. So it's good money. So Sergio, thanks, man. I always love having you on the show. I reached out to Sergio just a couple of days ago and offered him to come on, and we made it happen. I think this is knowledgeable information. I think we need to talk again in a few months. I know we got something coming up in Denver. We're getting Sergio out for that. That's going to be fantastic. No, we'll figure it out.
Maybe after this, Harry will pay for it.
He should. But actually, what's funny? I'm talking to Harry on Tuesday, so we're gonna work it out. Don't worry about it.
Oh no, okay. I don't know anything about it, so put a plug in. But Harry was very, very. I mean, I spoke to him on Friday.
Yeah,
he was like, "Man, this is amazing work, man." And he usually doesn't say that, right? And he's like usually very, cool.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Harry. Right? So and Harry was like, "Man, this is amazing work." Congrats. And
we're gonna ride that wave into the conversation I had with him on Tuesday. So it'll be
cool. Well, there is actually, this is perfect for your channel. I may have to come on again, because I wouldn't call it as big a bomb as this one, but a pretty big one. I this was like a nuclear bomb. That one's gonna be like a bunch of TNT put together. Okay. That's also on LA Times with Shuhana Hussein, who took on that task. It's about a delivery company. And
we'll talk offline about it. Maybe we'll do another
It's about delivery company and what they're doing. And, we busted him on that one too. So she's doing that article. I think it should come out this week sometime.
I'll be looking forward to it. And I'll be watching and seeing what's going on. And we'll talk soon, my friend. I appreciate you for coming on.
I know it's your channel, but, we can plug Show Me the Money Tuesday. Brian Merchant is going to be on, the author of the LA Times article.
That's this coming Tuesday, right?
This coming Tuesday. We're going to have all our screenshots showing all the proof, evidence, whatever that we have, how we got to this. But I explained to Pedro and you guys anyway. And Pablo is going to be on. So we're all going to talk and see where we're going, how we got here, and where we're going to go. And I think, look, having a journalist or major journalist or a bunch of them on your side is a huge, huge thing. Okay,
it's a big help.
It's a big thing, because you know what they do. I have enough of a voice. Pedro has enough of a voice, right? But our community is small compared to the overall picture. Yeah. But when they amplify your voice like that, then it's like
I think we could do so much of the sledding ourselves, right? Yeah. But when you have the backing of people that have the ears and eyes of millions, that allows that sledding to become a lot easier. We can only do so much, carry the load, right? So I think that's very valuable to have those connections, and it puts the pressure on whoever you're trying to get information from, because then there's a little credibility. Oh, the LA Times. Oh, now I don't have to deal with just the rideshare guy or Pedro, DoorDash, and Jago. Who the fuck are those guys? It's the LA Times. It's completely different.
Well, they pay attention to it. What happens is that, in the David versus Goliath, right? We got to chip. We can't just shoot them down at once, right?
Yeah, that's
take a little chip at a time. And what the important thing is keep the pressure on. Keep him honest, man. I think They are trying to do what we're trying to do, make money, period. And you can't blame the companies, I mean, call me shill or whatever you want to call me, but if I was them, I wouldn't be doing anything different. Okay, period.
No, I hear you, man. Yeah, it's it's funny is
you,
we have our roles in life and in the gig economy.
Yeah,
And,
man.
What makes it fun is that we can do these things and do a little reading and get some information. It's fun. It makes us feel like there's a sense of purpose within this work as well. I feel like Sergio feels that. When you sent me that,
do. I don't have to do what I'm doing, honestly. I don't need the money.
Right.
And Harry is stingy. He doesn't pay me well anyway. But but I really think as a driver's advocate, I think my heart's in the right place. And can you put that one last? Sorry, Pedro, I want to leave.
Which one?
2020 put up a comment in capital letters. So
okay, Sergio, you go ahead and read that. Go ahead.
Okay, Sergio, your heart was in the right place. My heart's always in the right place. 2020, but you shot us all in the foot. Now, my email is sergio@therideshareguy.com. We don't want to take too much of Pedro's live air. You can sergio@therideshareguy.com. You can email me and explain yourself, because we don't want to get into a back and forth here on somebody else's channel.
2020.
I would love to explain that to you.
Yeah. He's known for dropping in. Yeah. He's known for dropping in some colorful comments.
Oh, okay, whatever. Yeah. Sergio@therideshareguy.com. 2020. That's like the ABC 2020 channel. Is that
go check them out? 2020. Go check them out.
Check me out. Yeah.
Sergio, thanks, man. We'll talk soon, and appreciate you for spending your Sunday evening with us.
Hope you all got some money. Enjoy the money. And then if you guys see me in LA, maybe buy me a burger or something.
There you go, burger and fries and a beverage.
And a beverage.
All the above. All right, brother. Talk to you later, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Sergio, for coming on. Great talk. I knew it would be. So appreciate all y'all. I see some people in the background. I'm going to bring you guys up in a moment. I want to get your perspective on the conversation. If somebody has information or wants to talk about what happened in Minnesota and the Colorado bill and whatever else, we'll just kind of open it up, right? We'll open it up to who we have waiting. I want to give some shout outs to the people that have been watching: Hockey PNC, Easy Raider, Dad Dash, 2020, Sinful Toaster, George, Charlene, what's up? Edward Lee, always good to see you. I see Uber MVD, what's up, man? Teresa, what's up? Let me see. Oh, it's like froze. Real Talk Tech, what? Dark Fire and Rideshare Hustler, thanks for the super chats. I appreciate y'all so much. Before I bring the panel in, don't forget, we do have the GigCon. I got that little logo right. How do I point to it? Hold on, let me see. Right there. 2023 GigCon is coming August 4th and 5th. Denver, Colorado. That is a Friday is when the GigCon is, and Saturday we have some special events planned. It's going to be a town hall and a scavenger hunt. We have a lot of things going on in those 2 days. Go check out the website. If you can check my community page and various videos, I've been talking about it. We have a hotel and venue booked. Those links to that information will be available on Tuesday of this week on the website. So just know we have some great special guests, sponsors, speakers, vendors. It's just going to be the gig event of the year. I don't know how else to say it. I'm very proud to be working with some great people to help bring that to you guys. So if you're especially if you're in the Colorado area, you want to definitely come to this. So we have a lot of information on that website. All right, so let's bring up the panel, see what we got. What time is it? 10:33. Shout out to the Miami Heat. I got a notification they won by 3 points, and I thought they'd win. So I was actually right about something in the NBA. I thought they would win. I didn't watch the second half because I was live with you guys, but I'll be looking at the highlights later on. So, all right. So I see Judge Dre, I see Cowboy Courier, Uber MVD, and I see Darkfire MCBE. I'm going to bring all these gentlemen up at the same time. All right. What up, Dre? What up, Cowboy? Uber MVD and Darkfire. How are you guys doing tonight?
Yeah. I'm doing all right. Did you miss me?
What's up? That's a loaded question, Dre. I don't know. It's a loaded question. I'm not sure.
Wow. Put it in the chat room if they miss me.
Listen, you always make the lives livelier. So I love that you're here. I'll start with you first because I think Sergio was dropping some things, and I'm sure you were like, So let me start with you first, Judge Stray.
What question do you want first? Because it's been a busy week. I got deactivated.
I do. I want to get your input first on some of the things Sergio was saying about the companies and the money and all that kind of stuff. I want to get your perspective on that first.
Well, from a business point of view, of course. I mean, the people, I'm a numbers guy. I've always, no matter what company I've worked for, I always get promoted to management and all that, no matter where. Like even people that when I'm not the manager, when I get work anywhere, they always ask for my advice. Because I've managed a lot of people, properties, all that stuff. So I understand how a business works. A business works as this is, with them, they're going to keep the rates as low as possible for a reason.
Yeah.
And because there's more money for them. It had nothing, all them doing the cuts and that, they're going to do whatever they can to squeeze everything out of you. And they don't realize, like a lot of things, the drivers realize is, as their point of view, they look at it as we don't give a damn how much the drivers get because they're just going to charge that to the customers. It doesn't hurt them at all. And humans are creatures of habit. DoorDash and these companies ain't going away. Like I said, I do work on houses just like the other day. I was working in a house the last 3 days, right, on another job. And this house was full of people. So I saw 10 DoorDash drivers come in 3 days. Some people multiple times a day. So I already know that, unfortunately, the people are going to continue to use it even if the rates go up. And I find it, and you always see, you just made a comment yourself. The poorer the people are, the more they're going to use it.
Yes.
Like if you notice, your low-end customers haven't stopped using DoorDash and all that after the prices has expanded. Your high-end customers have. Yes. But that goes to show what humans are.
It's financial literacy. Typically, when you don't have control, when you don't have control of your budget and stuff, you're just going to spend. When you control your budget and you see that inflation is something, you cut back on that DoorDash order and you maybe only do it once a week.
Thank you.
I get that. DoorDash knows who their customers are, and it doesn't mean people that have money don't order, and it also doesn't mean that people that don't have money order. But it's overall like that's how. That's right. How it goes,
The more wise and I'll say more budget friendly person will realize, hey, I'm gonna cut back on that $10 order which I'm gonna pay $10 more to get it delivered, just because that. Where the people who are not good, it's kind of like that. You might have $1,200 worth of clothes on and $50 in your bank account. Or somebody that have $50 in their bank, $50 worth of clothes on and $1,200 in their bank account.
Yeah. Right. I told Madison, my girlfriend, I said, we got to spend $50 less a week on eating out. Yeah. And that's what we've been doing for about the last 3 weeks because it's just, we go out to eat too much and she goes out one day and then I'm going out. And I'm like, what do we just, you look at the account, it's like, how many times we both went to Chick-fil-A today? That's a problem, right? So you have to tighten the belt buckle for long success with your money. You have to make your money work for you. When you're just spending, it's going to catch up.
Well, the apps say this. This is what they try to say. They try to say every time they try to push anything for us that, but less customers are not going to order. Yeah, right. Very few. I mean, unfortunately, DoorDash has taken this app thing to where especially with the Dash Pass, and that's where they're killing the driver. The Dash Pass, technically, that's killing the drivers. That's where all them $2 and all that garbage orders are really coming from, because they got to force them numbers out of there because it's already a set price that they've agreed to. So they got to make it back on your back. And unfortunately, with the rising rates of anything, you don't need to be doing anything under $2 a mile now, because the wear and tear on your car alone, let alone if you get a ticket or don't be a minority to where you got to worry about DWB or anything like that, it's really gonna screw. I don't,
He said DWB. That's funny.
Well, what it is. Driving while black.
I want to get Cowboy Courier, Uber MVD, and Dark Fire. So Cowboy Courier, what do you think about the convo with Sergio? And did you learn anything? What's your opinion on it? What do you think?
Excuse me. Man, I agree with one sentiment that you express very often, that government be the ones to do all the fixing is, I think, going to be a bad idea. Because as soon as we set down a course of rules that these companies have to abide by, well, then they're going to find all the loopholes that they possibly can. And I don't know, man. I mean, like, yeah, we're losing customers, both to inflation, like you were saying, but we're also losing customers to a lot of shit dashers. This strategy that DoorDash has had of just throwing as many dashers out there as they possibly can and lowering the rates, the base pays by, just like oversupply of drivers. It has been a terrible strategy. I don't know how much time any of y'all spend hanging out on the DoorDash subreddits, but there, every single day, multiple posts will come up of people saying like, hey, I use this service all the time. I always tip really well. And lately my drivers have just been shit. And I'm not going to use the service anymore. They keep stealing my food. They keep, screwing me over, refusing to go upstairs and stuff, not following the instructions. Yeah, there's the language barrier thing in certain cases. But these customers that use DoorDash all the time,
Oh, I think we lost Cowboy Curry. Are you there still? All right,
Let me go to
him. Yeah, let me get with Darkfire MCBE.
Actually, you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and peace out because I'm getting close to my destination. But it was good to see y'all for just a hot minute here, and you guys have a great evening.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for coming on. Thank you.
All right,
so let me go to Darkfire. Go ahead, Darkfire. What do you think, man?
I think the government should not be a part of anything. First off, and then the losing customers. Yeah, I feel the customer but I get upset at the fact that I work hard door dashing and I don't see those $15, $20 orders, and the bad dashers get it. It pisses me off. Like, they should get deactivated if they're doing that, But in my opinion, I think the government should not be a part of this, a part of like us making money, because in my opinion, a fixed rate really makes you less money compared to like, making $20, $25, $30 wherever you are, in my city, average $15 an hour for DoorDash. But oh well. I live in the suburbs, so I make more money there.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, from Sergio, I agree with him in the part where the company's trying to make money and we're trying to make money. And I think cutting back on money, I hate that. But I see what they're meaning in that. And, I'm opening my mind to adapting as much as possible. Multiple apps, like you said. And I'm trying to do YouTube, but right now I can't do that.
Don't do it. Don't do it unless you have the time or you want to, right? Don't just do it to do it. Let me get Uber MVD. What do you think, man? I know you've been here since the beginning of the show. What do you think about the conversation we had with Sergio? I feel like you knew about it already as far as what he was doing, but I want to get your perspective on what they did and what do you think is going to happen next?
Huge win for California drivers, whether you're an ant or a cherry picker or somewhere in the middle, which there have to be drivers in the middle, whether it's you just don't know any better or you just take what you get because the market you're in. But these companies are making billions of dollars. And I'm not all about government regulation, but I think there should be some government guidelines. This Seattle hybrid model thing that they got going on, those numbers should be transparent. Everyone should be able to see them, not just that state, every state. I'd like to see a hybrid model in any state that's willing to drivers band together and press a model forward through legislation. Because listen, taxi rates in my city, I'm going to pull up either in like a 2023 Highlander or a 2016 Honda Accord. And you're going to get a dingy ass taxi, not knowing what you're going to get, whether the person speaks any English or not to shame anyone. We have immigrants, it's not about that, but you're paying $6 to get in and up to $2.40 a mile, depending on what city you're getting picked up in. And I just feel like they're taking advantage of the immigrant drivers, the people that have a language, barrier, people that don't read the fine print, people that don't understand that basically these companies, their business model is, kind of predatory, in my opinion.
I definitely think there's predatory things within these apps, right? And I think it's obviously there because they've shown us that. If you work this app long enough, you're going to see things that are going to make you scratch your head, right?
Right.
And I think in what I've learned in the last month, because I've been thinking about this legislation, I made some videos and read some articles, but I'm still not knowledgeable enough on it to have like a really defined opinion, right? But what I'm seeing is I feel like I don't want government stepping in because it just scares me long term. I just don't trust politicians. I just don't, right? They don't, most of them, and especially nowadays and even in the history, they don't give us, there aren't enough that you could say you could really trust, right? I think they have agendas and all that kind of stuff, but that's a whole nother conversation, right? But I feel like there has to be some kind of accountability for the gig companies to where they can pay fairly, or if it's not that, I think most of us, if we just had transparency on the pay, I think if we just had that in every state, most of us would shut up. We'd be fine, right? If we knew what it was going to pay us and they didn't hide information, they didn't hide our address, they didn't hide the payout, I think that would be a big win, right? So when we talk about like hybrid models and things like that, you talked about Seattle, and for me at least, Uber, MVD, like I just show me everything. You know what I'm saying? Like show us that. I think that's fair. But I don't really want like a minimum type of guarantee pay, because I feel like if we do that, if anything, it makes every driver skill level exactly the same. And I think one of the benefits of doing this kind of work is you can learn a little bit and become a little better than the next guy. And if you're a little bit better and you adapt and you're willing to use your skill or whatever, you can make more, and that's okay. I don't think we should all be making the same amount because we're all different and we have different levels of skill and customer service. So that's where I'm at with that, if that makes any sense.
No, I agree with you 100% that, not every driver is performing the same, service as the next driver. I think, delivery is kind of like entry level, then you start shopping orders. That's kind of like the next step up. Then maybe you start driving people. That's the next step up. Then you step into some of the luxury platforms, follow up with that. But I'm 100% with, I'd like to see full transparency and fair pay for drivers. That's it. Like Chris said, well, Show Me the Money Club, I want my 100%, my acceptance rate to be 100%. And it would be if you guys were paying fairly, and they're charging the customer.
Well, I think there are drivers that have 100% acceptance rate on rideshare or food delivery. But for me, even if they raised my pay and showed me everything, I still wouldn't have 100% acceptance rate because there are some areas I don't want to go in.
Right.
Some miles might be too many depending on the time of the day. It could be towards the end of my shift, and yeah, it might be paying good, but if it's taking me 40 miles west, I don't want to be out there, right? So I feel like that 100%, like, yeah, for me, it would never be 100%.
Right. It would never be doable for me either. But could you see with full transparency and fair pay, could you see your acceptance rate being sitting somewhere closer to maybe 75, 80%?
Mine's right now, I think it's 73. But yeah, it would be higher for sure, because there are some trips that if it's showing me 9, but it's actually paying me 18, then that difference that's information I should have, right?
Well, in my area,
huge difference.
In my area, this is a problem. I'll say like this is, and like remember, like this, I ain't gonna lie. As being deactivated, I actually feel like a great weight has been lifted off my shoulders. So now I can really speak freely. But in my area, they're blowing us up with orders that are like 30 cents a mile. And that's crazy. You would read dick. And I'm like, remember I started sending you screenshots, and you notice and I'm like, you would just get bombarded with, and I'm like, how in the fucking world is DoorDash pushing this shit out like that? Where DoorDash just needs to take responsibility and say, look, this order's here, it's like this. you got to pay X amount because we're not going to be able to deliver that. It's just really what it is. They need to put, as they put all this work into the so-called algorithm to do all this shit, they need to put in some work and say, well, look at it. Ain't nobody in a common sense right mind to take that over. We really need to tell you, hey, this is where you are, this is where you order, and this is where you order from. The rating on a restaurant, this is where it is, where it's going. Hey, we need X amount of dollars to make that order. If not, we just can't. Literally, that's what they really need to. They're worried about cutting the fat, but they still want to take every fucking order. Sometimes they're going to have to tell their customers, we can't deliver that order at that price.
Right. What's your, not to sidestep, but what's your acceptance rate, Dre, on DoorDash?
Oh, my acceptance rate at one time, I had it up to 90-something%. At one time, I was 90.
Whenever you were seeing those 30-cent a mile orders.
I saw them orders. Just give an example. I saw plenty of $2 orders when I had over a 90% acceptance rate. Just like one of the things I did is before I took on this deal, I went a month and a half where I did that grind where I took every order to get it up that high to see. And the only thing that I noticed, now that I'm permission to speak freely, and like even my friends remember, I got a couple people in a little group, so that's how I'm getting all this information and we're correlating and seeing. The only thing that we got is plenty of bullshit orders with contract violations. Like literally, your contract violations are going through the fucking roof.
Well, let me say this straight. Don't you think that has more to do with the neighborhood you're delivering in than it does the app?
Yeah, but if the app is sending you to these people and you want to accept everything and you're trying to do exactly what it is, I mean, like literally, I'm delivering to trap houses. I'm like, literally, you call in DoorDash and tell them, hey man, I'm letting you know this is why you do everything right. And like literally, like the last month and a half where I was doing that, I stayed minimum of 2 to 3 contract violations all the fucking time. And I ain't gonna lie, I could be able to tell by the restaurant, contract violation coming. 2 or 3 days later, boom, that restaurant. How'd I know?
Well, I think you said it. You just said it. It's a blessing in disguise. It's good that you got deactivated. It's a good thing. It's
a good thing and then a bad thing. It was nice to turn it on to get the little $20-$30 there if I needed it. It really focused me but like I said, I'm gonna go ahead now that I can be the face of the channel, because a lot of people were in our group was mad that I showed my face on your platform.
You did,
because I was supposed to be. Remember, I told you I was supposed to come out with the channel on YouTube, and I wasn't supposed to show my face so they wouldn't know. But I said the good thing is now I show my face. Y'all we get all the information, and at least they don't, unless they tap your phones, which I hope they don't do that shit. They don't know who my other people are.
We ain't worried about that. I want to welcome in. I want to welcome in JP's Gig Corner. It looks like he's walking. I don't know what he's doing. He's at nighttime. JP, are you with us?
You're muted.
Yeah. He's doing a DoorDash delivery.
Yeah. JP, are you out in the wild doing DoorDash deliveries right now? He is.
Oh, I'm not. Himself.
Oh, you're not. Okay. How you doing, JP?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing well. What do you got on your mind tonight?
Now I'm out. I actually fell asleep for what I was supposed to be an hour nap, and it turned into 3. So I'm out walking off my very late dinner. So
there you go. Great, love it. Get those steps in.
But I'm curious, Dre. What did they deactivate you for? What was the reason they gave you?
They said that supposedly they can't. They just said at first they said, just give an example. To show you how DoorDash got me too. They said I was deactivated in the middle of an order. Then they say, oh no, it's a glitch. Just keep on. So I called them. They said, oh no, it's a glitch. This and the other. They gave me 2 more orders, so they got my thing up to like $50-something. And then kept all that money there because, I got the Dash card, which I recommend all of you guys do. Because no, it's a glitch. It's a glitch. No, you are deactivated after you get some money in your Dash thing. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So they say suspicious activity, and I said, what is this? Well, we can infer that a violation occurred. I said, well, what violation? They can't tell me.
Well, do you have like a news station there that reports on consumer reports issues?
Well, unfortunately, if you read the TOS and they can do it. Technically, it's like any time, any reason, any little thing is technically a violation the way they have it written up. I mean,
I get it. I understand that. But the reason I'm asking is that I've read several stories this week of people who have gone to their local TV stations
Mhm.
and they've gotten they've gotten reactivated, and that's what the excuse was suspicious activity.
Basically, I've noticed that two things I did in that week. I reported a store, but I didn't make a scene in the store. I said nothing in the store. I heard the employees talking because basically a lot of stores now are doing this. They're telling the dashers that the order was picked up and they never made the order. So they're stealing from DoorDash on that ass. So I called DoorDash and I just let them know, look, I didn't make a scene in the store. I didn't even say nothing. But I heard the customer say that this order was made. And then the representative told me, yeah, because that's funny. You're the first person that order was signed to. And I said, no, this order's never been made. I know that because one, I got locations I sit in. So as soon as I got it, I went right in. And I doubt that this was an order that was passed because they had a decent amount on there. So nobody would have just kept. And I told you, they said that this order was made and picked up. And so I called them. They said that. Now, what was so funny, I ended up calling them the next day on later on another order. And I told them, oh, and by the way, that order that supposedly was picked up is sitting right here now that I had 30 minutes ago. And I said, this order is sitting in the store as we speak. I see the order because I remember the name. It was Corey and a Corey J. And there it was sitting there at supposedly that order was never made at that time. So you got to be really careful there because the best way for restaurants to really steal money if you open a restaurant, say you made the order, DoorDash, before they even question the restaurant, they'll just fault us. And you notice a lot of times we try to call the restaurant and nobody answers. Of course not.
Yeah, I only bring it up because it's actually worked in the three stories that I read. It's worked in every one of them. And if that kind of stuff works, why not do it? Okay. And that's that's what I would recommend you do because that's but they they use that as a pretty common excuse to get rid of people. So
well, I close on I got a contract. I close on another house tomorrow. So I ain't gonna lie, I'm probably gonna be too busy with this house. But I am gonna start the YouTube because I say I'm gonna put them on blast. And I'm gonna show a lot of things that people don't know now that I can actually be the face and I got other dashers. Maybe I can bring them on the show sometimes. And then long as I don't show their faces, because a lot of them don't want to be involved in that type of way because they're worried about the backlash. And me, I'm not worried. Me, I'll show my face, say what I got to say, and not worried about the backlash.
I tell you what, Dre, as soon as you start your channel, the first live you do, I'll come on there. I'll play the DoorDash side, and you guys could have all the and I'll play the shill just for shits and giggles, and I would love to be part of that show. It'll be fun.
I appreciate it. Well, the first one is just going to be pointing out some bad businesses and how that bad business practice and why. And I'm just letting you know, you shouldn't be like anybody that's still a DoorDash driver right now. Please, like you said, you bet not make sure that this is your only income, because unfortunately, like this is, as you see, they don't give you no warning. Boom, you're gone. I mean, like literally, I'm like, wow. I'm like, thank God that, I work on houses for a living,
Yeah, well, we should all have other apps, other opportunities, always be ready to have that plan B, C, and D, or whatever that looks like for you, because, the work that we do is independent contracting work, and that contract could be voided at any moment. I could turn on my app tomorrow and be deactivated. And I know that. So you have to be proactive in your movements and thoughts so that you're not relying on it 100% for a long time, or at least you're depending on it for the whole next 6 months, because things are going to happen. So we have to be willing to think about that kind of stuff.
Okay. And let's see, that's one of the things where that's definitely a topic right there, where there should be a little bit of more transparency on the fact is, hey, look, we noticed this, that, and the other. We want you to start doing this. You would think that because unfortunately, when they can just pop you off for something vague, it could be anything. I mean,
Sure.
And that just opens the door. Like if I'm a business person, like I tell people like this, you want to run a good business or a tight ship, the people on the ground floor, you better treat them with ultimate respect. Because I know a couple of Dashers right now, they are killing DoorDash. I mean, and when I say killing them, they're robbing DoorDash blind. Now, that goes against my ethics, but I totally understand why they're doing it because they figure, hey, DoorDash is treating us like shit. And then that's why you see customers now, hey, man, I'm a good tipper. Why are these people, why are my drivers being so mean? Why? Because DoorDash done burned a lot of them out. I mean, especially like now, like what I've noticed in our area is you'll get a good order. So you'll get a good order. You're here, $8, 2 miles. You're like 3 miles. Okay. But while you got that order, you're constantly being blown up with $2 for my add-on. So literally, they're just destroying your numbers right there.
So like I want to say this. I had an order this week, and I'm I try to be positive, but I had an order. It was a well-paying, good tipping order. It said $9 plus. It wound up being like 11 or 12.
Right.
It was a good order, right? It was only like 2 or 3 miles. They stacked it. It was a Papa John's. They wanted to add an Aldi's order for 36 items. So they wanted me to do the Papa John's, and I accepted it. I accepted it, right? But they wanted me to do the Papa John's, then do the Aldi. So basically have the Papa John's sitting in my car while I
in your
shop.
car.
And then drop off the Papa. What I did was I did both, but I jumped the task, delivered the Papa John's, then did the Aldi, right? But the algorithm wanted me to basically hold the food hostage from a good tipper because they wanted to add the Aldi. It was crazy. Yeah.
They actually do that a long time, and that's one of the things where I said I was going to make a thing. And I'm gonna tell you, when I say DoorDash, they don't give a fuck about the customers either. Because so many times I've had that $9 order and they keep sitting. I'm sitting there waiting on a $2 order because I'm trying not to destroy my acceptance rate.
Everyone says, I don't want regulation. I don't want regulation. But, folks, the government's in your business, whether you like it or not. It's just that simple. That you cannot do business in the United States of America and not have the government involved. The problem is the government and the gig economy has been hands off. That's what's wrong, okay? And so what's happening is, you guys have said it earlier tonight, Pedro, you said, well, I don't blame the companies for doing that. I do. There's a law. They're supposed to follow it. Now, if the state of California had any cojones, they'd go in and fine them $1 billion, and then Uber would get the message, wait a minute, we can't wait to get caught. That's the worst strategy that you can ever deploy in the business world with a big business. You have to be on the up and up, and you have to, you guys were wondering where the money's going. Uber's getting that money. Uber added that. That $1.5 billion is going right in their pockets. That's
JP, so let me ask you. So what do you think about what Sergio and Pablo did? Speak on that for a minute.
I think that's a great thing that they did. Here's the problem is that the state of California failed everyone who does gig. If there is 1.6 million people, they should be sending in
banks, gaining interest.
Letter. They should be sending in letters to all of their legislators saying, I want them to be fined for this, and I want something else to be so that it doesn't keep happening over and over again. That's what I think should happen. It should have never had to come to that. Now, don't get me wrong. I think what they did is great. You have to go out and look at all those things. But I also believe that the state should have immediately gone to Uber and Lyft and said, what's going on here? And my guess is,
they might have
any of the data.
They might have. They might have.
I'll bet they're not getting. I'll bet they're not getting any of the data. I really do. Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Dark.
So, I'd say what JP says is really good, but I think what I think for DoorDash, what they should do, and all these like food delivery apps specifically, I think they should start doing the signature thing to make the food more secure. That way the stealing is like way less.
Like,
I don't know why they don't do that all the time. They need to start doing that. I think that's a smarter way, but I don't know why they don't do it. But I think I get why, because they want the leave at the door to be continuous so customers don't leave. I think that's
it's faster. Thing. It's quicker. It's quicker.
Yeah.
It's quicker. It gets the driver on to the next delivery quicker. Yeah. It makes you have to work more. You know, the signature things in my market, I had 4 or 5 of them this week. And, you know, like so it's coming, but I think, you know, they just want us to be, they want the process for the consumer to be simple and quick. So I think if they added it right now, it would definitely slow down the deliveries. Even if it's only 30 seconds per delivery, that's actually a lot, right?
Especially if they require it at pickup.
Right. It's a good idea, but I think the reason they haven't seen it is it would slow everything down.
I'm not letting just anybody that I deliver to touch my phone. For all my deliveries that require a signature right now, I tell the customer, I sign for you. And I sign myself and I walk away. Now, I do that because they're alcohol orders and I scan their ID or whatever already. So if there's ever like, oh, you didn't get, they said they didn't get the order. Well, then how comes I got a picture of their driver's license? You know what I mean? They got the order.
But unfortunately, the bad thing about that is when you get popped like how they did me, it's suspicious activity. Now, what could it be? It could be that I reported 2 stores who were stealing from the company. And I just told them, I think you guys, really need to look into that, because I heard the people say it, and I've, documented a couple restaurants, because, that makes us look bad when they say somebody picked up the order and it was never made. And, but they don't really look into that. And unfortunately, we're a dime a dozen, so they can just get rid of you. I mean, think about it, I got over 6,000 deliveries in, so it's not like I'm you know what I mean? But I've noticed ever since I started to try to do the take every order, even my friend said, oh, you're going to go down for that. You realize your account's probably going to get banned, because when you take every order, it's too many bullshit orders. And I ain't gonna lie, in certain areas, a lot of times there are a lot of people online that show you how to scam DoorDash, and they say all you got to do is say that people didn't come, and they'll allow a customer to do that 6 and 7 times before they even knock their account off, and all they got to do is make another account with a bullshit credit card.
Yeah, they should tie it to they should tie that to their address. That's their problem. It really is. I think picking up from the restaurants, there are apps that I drive for that where I make a lot more money than I do on DoorDash, and I got to tell you, they require us to get a signature once we receive the food. I don't mind, and I don't care if anyone, and I do it. I hold the phone and they sign it. Now, I can tell you a lot of restaurant workers will say, I don't want to sign that. And I said, okay, get your manager. Somebody's got to sign it, because I got to have proof that I picked it up.
You're talking to like Deliver That, Easy Cater, things like that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Or a high-end restaurant like Morton's.
But I got to tell you, they should do that for all of the restaurants. That would stop. I don't think the theft is anywhere near what gig tubers make it out to be.
I agree with you, JP.
I think this is all about clicks and views and it's just hyperbole. I think what most of the problem is there are bad dashers, just like there are bad restaurants. Okay.
Now, matter of fact, maybe I should go. Maybe I should do this to prove it as you. Maybe I'll take a day. Y'all go ahead and pay me. I'm gonna sit in a restaurant all day, and I'll sit there the whole day. I'll count the orders and see how many orders come up supposedly been picked up, and I'll pay attention to that. Maybe I'll do that one day, like at a Chipotle, a place that gets a lot of orders.
How will you know how many were supposed to be picked? You won't know all sides of the equation.
Now, I won't know all sides of the equation, but I'll definitely know how many, because one, I'm a talkative person, as you know. Most of these stores, like literally, once I go in there and they be like, oh, we haven't seen you in a couple of days, they're going to say, so basically I'll be able to talk to, I'm good with a lot of employees I can probably name 10 restaurants that'll let me do that off the rip.
Yeah. I don't think there's as many. I think with the tens of millions of deliveries that are facilitated on a daily basis, such a small amount are actually being stolen. But I also, so because of that, that's why I don't think a lot of restaurants don't implement a signature thing for that reason. Plus, because imagine going into a Chipotle, a McDonald's, a Little Caesars, whatever, Taco Bell, like these busy restaurants. Imagine that person that's already overworked and underpaid having to also get you to sign something, and it's just not. It's not realistic in 2023 for most places. I think when JP goes and picks up a really good delivered that or a deliver and it's $400 worth of food, yeah, that's different. I need you to sign. I mean, it's there's not a lot of those orders on a daily basis. But imagine trying to have a McDonald's worker work the counter, and then they need you to sign this. It's just not. It's not sustainable. It's not realistic.
But I'm only saying if they have a problem, not if.
No, I agree with that.
Standard
Yes.
rule of thumb. In the Little Caesars, I can speak to that because I had 52 of them that did DoorDash, and we actually had a portal that you put the pizzas into, and the customer had to put their code in there. Yeah. And even if you came in and said, "I don't have the code," what we instructed our people to do is we contact your whoever ordered it and whoever's app it's on, because I can't give it to you unless. Well, I know that's my order. And I can tell you, just firsthand experience, and one of the restaurants we opened, that probably happened 15 or 20 times. And 10 out of the 15 times, it was a person trying to scam and take somebody there, a consumer stealing the food, not anything else. And the person probably wasn't even a driver, that was getting the food. But my point is that they're cons. That's all, and that's going to be in the restaurant business forever. That's never going to go away. You just have to
in my area, you can't
procedures.
But in my area, you can't. And just give an example. I've probably in the last 200-300 dashes, I cannot think of a restaurant that even leaves the orders out anymore. Like literally all of them, my normal restaurants that I go to, you have to give them the name. They don't even you can't even see the bags to even read. Where back in the day, you could see the bag and say the name. They make it now. You can't see the bags. You can't say anything because literally you can't see anything.
Yeah, we have that going on here too, where they've taken, especially Chipotle has taken and put it all. But I prefer that. I
prefer that too.
What cities are you? What cities are you guys in? I want to know because I'm in Columbus.
Yeah,
I'm in Greensboro,
I'm in Cleveland, North Carolina, Cleveland Heights. I live in Cleveland Heights.
Cleveland Heights, Ohio.
Cleveland Heights, Ohio. Right. I know where you are in Columbus.
Yeah. Oh,
Cleveland. I remember.
Right. Two Ohio people. I now feel you, man. Yeah.
Hold on. I want to ask Darkfire. Darkfire, would you DoorDash at midnight in Cleveland, in Clinton Heights or Cleveland Heights or whatever he's at?
It's Cleveland Heights, Ohio.
No. Hell no.
So that tells you everything we need to know about why Dre got deactivated, right?
Now, listen. I'm gonna let you know. Now, to be real, this is the problem that you got to say. I live in Cleveland Heights, but the only problem with DoorDash, they have 607, which is East Cleveland, rated worst city in Ohio. That's the dead last. Like when you come, all the Cleveland
people there.
Now, East Cleveland is the worst. They call them 607. They were rated last. Like literally, the only place probably worse than East Cleveland is Baltimore. And you see, they finally even got rid of the dirty cop that they finally indicted him last month, which the cop we had talked about a couple shows ago. They finally got rid of him out of East Cleveland. So just to give an example how bad it is, we call it 607 because they're that bad.
Even the buildings there are bad. Like abandoned everywhere. Yeah, oh my God, definitely. I've seen it.
Matter of fact, maybe I said I should do a drive through at East Cleveland, even though I hate to say that perfect area for gentrification, and you see a lot of new buildings being built and a lot of work going down. Perfect area for that. But unfortunately, the people that live there are not going to be able to live there any longer because they're just killing them all around.
I got neighborhoods in St. Louis just like that. Trust me.
Every city has
every major city does.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not going to lie. I hardly ever get a contract violation for a city for a order in a suburb. Very rarely. I get all of my contract violations Always in the inner city.
Well,
Well,
the
that's
reason,
why.
I mean,
That's why you
people,
should stay away from the
people get
low-paying
people.
orders.
Listen, when you're broke, you're desperate. I've been broke in my life, and you
Yeah.
get desperate when you're broke, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. It's not any slight on any one individual. You
Well,
know,
and
you get
also,
desperate, and that's
well,
why your contract violations are going to go up in lower income neighborhoods, because people are broke and they're hungry and they're like, or they feel entitled, whatever it is. In rich neighborhoods, you might not get a tip because they're just schmucks out there, right?
Okay.
But you're not going to get a contract violation. They just won't leave you a tip.
Okay, now here you go like this is. Man, this was something funny. I want to show you how DoorDash doesn't pay attention to nothing. So, like, I delivered a $2 4-mile order. Well, I was trying to keep to that. When I got there, all the crap wasn't in the bag. Remember, I told you it was at a trap house. I already know. I delivered it to the area. Anybody knows in Cleveland, it's called the Keyhole, big drug spot. Woman come out, she's yelling and screaming about that. Okay, I called DoorDash. I let them know that I was threatened like this, that, and the other. Why did less than 3 minutes later, I get that same DoorDash order because they remade her food because half the shit was missing? $2 again to go to that same.
Because you're the only crazy person willing to dash.
No, I did not know. But listen.
They say, "Oh, Dre's working today. He's the only guy out here. Let's send him everything."
I said that goes to show you that they don't. There's nothing in the system that they can push. Because I'm like, can you make sure that I don't never get this person again? I called, talked to them, and then literally like 5 minutes after I get off the phone with DoorDash, the next order comes in. Bing, same restaurant, same address. I'm like, that goes to show that y'all don't even care about. Didn't I just say that I was threatened here at this address and you send me right back?
Yeah, that support agent's not the algorithm, though. They don't know that.
I mean, that shows you that even when you call and tell them what happened, that they don't give a fuck.
Yeah. I want to round out. I think we lost Uber MVD, but that's all right. Have a good night, brother. I want to ask you guys each a question because I am going to end the show pretty soon. But we're on the talk of legislation and proposals and things getting shut down. Minnesota, Colorado, Sergio and Pablo just got millions of dollars paid out to millions of drivers for Prop 22. Right now, in August 5th, we're going to have a town hall meeting with Stephanie Vio, a House representative in Colorado. Her bill got shut down. Like, it didn't even go up for vote. Right. So we're going to have her there, some union delegates. It's going to be a great conversation, right? But I want to ask Darkfire, JP, and Judge Dre. I want to ask you guys one question, okay? If you could have something passed, some kind of legislation, let's just call it that for lack of better terms, okay? Would you rather have some kind of pay guarantee for gig workers, or would you rather have tip transparency? Let's say you can't have both. Which one would you rather have and have it in every state? I'll start with Darkfire.
I would say tip transparency, because if I see a tip that is like $20 tip and it would be $22 for like 6 miles, I would take that. And tips transparency is more than just like base pay. I don't care for base pay. I want that tip transparency so I can go deliver it to the loyal customer and not deliver it to a horrible customer.
Got it. Let me ask Judge Dre, you want tip transparency or do you want some kind of minimum guarantee payment?
Ooh, I would probably have to go with the tip transparency, because I'll say like this is, the tip transparency would give you more of a fact that you know, okay, cool, it's a decent customer, at least. And morally, the people who tip the better, you're more likely to have problems on a job like that. Every time I got 6,000 plus orders on DoorDash alone. Every time I have a problem customer, they're always a no tipper or a low tipper. One of them 33 cent or $1 tipper, that you're probably going to get problems. And even DoorDash knows that. That's one reason why they don't have tip transparency. And unfortunately, you guys, that's a dream. You're never getting tip transparency, because otherwise the low tip people would never get their food.
Interesting. JP, what do you say?
Yeah. Well, I would say, obviously, if you limit it to that, I don't like either choice. However, I would say a tip transparency over the guaranteed amount. But
let me ask you a question. What don't you like about the guarantee? Are you against the guaranteed amount?
No, I'm not against a guaranteed amount. I just think that the total legislation needs to include part of what happened in Colorado was it did not have any money tied to it. When you put money behind something, and obviously what nobody's reporting about, and I can't find the exact number, but I did see it weeks before, the Flex organization paid into the governor of Minnesota's PAC a great deal of money in this last election. In politics, the money's not handed directly. Hey, you veto this and I'll give you $1 million. That's not how it happens. Right. It's just like the guy that took off BTF or whatever it was, the crypto kid from California that gave $200 million to the Democrats in the 2020 election. You're not hearing anything about that, or 2022 election rather. You're not hearing anything about that anymore because the media doesn't want you to hear about it. What we need is money has to be tied to. So you got to have a wage. You got to have all of those things, and it won't happen because if it's true and there's actually 10 million people doing this stuff, they're not getting enough. People are not writing letters or even picking up the phone and calling their congressperson and their senators. And that's because of, unfortunately, most people just don't have the education. Believe it or not, it works. If you get on the phone and you call your legislator's office and you get 20 or 30 other people to do it, it's not a lot of people. They're going to start to listen because they know you have one power, and that is voting. And guess what the media does like around election time? They like big mouths that go on television and say,
they sure
hey,
do.
Listen, this guy did this and he did that and she did this and she did that.
It makes for good TV. It helps the ratings. It gets the people. Yeah, you're right about that.
One of my senators is recently elected. He hasn't responded to any of my inquiries. And he's a Republican. I'm going to speak out loudly about it. All right, because it shouldn't happen. He should at least respond. The Democrat that represents me in Congress, she returned the call. And I'm nobody. I am literally just a concerned citizen saying we need legislation that says, here, pay these people a living wage. Everybody talks a good game about all this stuff. It's going to hurt. It would hurt me because I figure out how to make the most.
It would hurt you. It would. Yeah. And I said that earlier. I think it would make everybody kind of equal, and then that's not. That's like, okay. Then it makes it harder for the ones that really know what they're doing, or the seasoned vets, or the ones that can find a hidden tip. Like, there is a ripple effect to any type of new legislation or law or whatever you want to call it. There's a ripple effect, and there will be there's a ripple effect to what Sergio and Pablo did. We just don't know what it's going to be yet, right? I think what happened is great. And we need to talk about it because knowledge is power. But there's a ripple effect in everything that happens, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. And sometimes it takes years for us to see the effect of it, right? And how it affects you right now could be very different than how it affects you 2 years from now, right? But there's definitely going to be some ripple effects. But I think it makes for a good conversation. So
yeah, it does. And these companies are unfortunately the C-suites are filled with people who are really not. They're doing it for themselves and their cronies. They're not doing it for the customer. They're not doing it for the drivers. They're not doing it even for their lower paid employees. They're doing it for the employee stock compensation that's, huge. I do mean huge numbers for companies that are losing their shirts. There's no reason for that kind of compensation. And what's going to happen, eventually somebody's going to say, God, how could Uber fail? Well, Uber's been failing ever since it started. It would be I can guarantee you this. I'm going to send a letter to Dara, and I'm going to post it on Twitter. I'll send Dara Khosrowshahi a note saying, hey, I'll come in, and in 6 months, I'll turn a huge profit of at least 10%. All right? Now, you got to pay me for that, but I'll come in and show you how to do it. And it would not be that hard because he's not used to running a business that has to manage the nickels and dimes. He's just not used to it. When you've done it all your life, and I'm not unusual with this, anyone who's managed in the field of restaurants and or grocery stores, they're used to working and managing the nickels.
JP brings up a great point. We used to have to do food inventory every Monday at the Applebee's I managed. So I managed Applebee's for a long time. So I had to wake up at 4 a.m., I'm in a deep freezer at 5 a.m. I'm counting cases of fries and this and that. And at the end, you input it in a system and it tells you what was your food cost as a percentage and what. I used to have to nickel and squeeze and come up with food audit plans and talk to my line cooks and, hey, make sure this is ringing just to get an extra $50 in profits a day or something, right? Because that's what was required because the margins are so thin. So JP speaking, like you're giving me like trauma echoes with my Applebee's days here in that freezer, hoping that my number was going to be less than 0.7%. You know what I'm saying? Like I just remember those days. Like,
and it's so funny because I still do. I don't obviously don't have any inventory or anything like that, but I still do a spreadsheet every week. I sit down and enter in what my revenues are, what my expenses are, and all that stuff because I want to know, am I actually making any money or not making?
Yeah, I do the same.
All right,
and
and preparing a P&L is a very important part of knowing whether or not you're making any money or not.
Oh, it is.
But most people who do gig work are just, they're not. We don't talk about the 20% that produce 80. Well, as of the year before, in both Uber and DoorDash, they both confirmed that the 80-20 rule works real well, because they're doing 81% of the trips and or, the rideshare trips or the deliveries.
You mean 20% of the drivers are doing 80% of the work?
Correct.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, like I said, it's like I haven't even noticed that week. I went back to my other job, and just because this job was available, immediately I took this one. And even I noticed, I told myself, I took this one at a loss on when it comes to hours wise, because it was too many hours. And I kind of have a little bit to go above and beyond, because even the guy who hired me is like, wow, dude, you went above and beyond. I was not expecting this, that, and the other. And I just told him it's in me. But I do admit it did come out because it helped, because they close on the house tomorrow and I get first dibs. And they're, going with me. But unfortunately, a lot of people can't do that. And the app in the where you need some government things to step in is this: as long as there's an idiot out there that they're going to take advantage of them. And unfortunately, these companies have been doing that because, like you said, instead of them trying to return a thing to their investors, they're just basically screwing their employees to pay their investors.
Yeah, I'd say.
I mean,
they're not paying their investors. They're really not.
I mean, for their dividends and stuff like that.
They're a non-dividend company. I mean, none of these companies pay a dividend. It's really it is just one. It's not a Ponzi scheme, but it's a con. That's all. It's really simple. Definitely. That's the reason why you look at the big investors that are out there, the people that really have a lot of money, that really know and understand companies. They understand that the free cash flow in the gig world is pretty much non-existent. Okay. Yeah. And that's the reason why you're going to see, Uber is right now it's as high as I've ever had it, and I'm happy that it's there. It's $17 or $18 a share. So I'm really happy of where it's at right now. However, I also know that once I hit my number, it may go up another $10 a share. I don't care.
It probably will. I think it will, only because I know Lyft has a new CEO, but I think Lyft is they don't have as much of a stranglehold, right? And I think right. Uber. I know people are against this. I think the Uber teen thing is going to actually make them a lot of money. It's going to open up the floodgates of more opportunities for Uber and the parents, and so I think Uber, if anything, is going to go up.
Yeah, it's gonna go up. But again, my point is when it hits my strike price, I'm out, because I've made my money. It's I've more than doubled my money on it. I'm going to take my money and run, and just as sure as it's going to go up another $10, guess what? It's going to drop like a rock when the analysts say, well, wait a minute, you still are only, if you are making money, it's minuscule. Yeah. And that's where, eventually it just comes back. And so it's a good stock to trade in and out. Same thing with DoorDash. I don't know what's going on with DoorDash right now, but it's as high as, since I've owned it, it's as high as it's been. And I don't have something set for it, but I'm going to go in and look at it this week. Maybe it's time to sell it. because it's not.
Hey,
It's not a good company. It's got a terrible
JP.
business model. Yeah.
JP, if I get any traction, you better sell your DoorDash. Hey, be like, wait a minute, Judge is coming out there.
Judge Dre, listen, you ain't got no
Listen,
traction, bro. Listen, you're talking to no.
But I'm just letting you know, if I get any traction, I'm gonna let you know. You better
I think Darkfire had your hand up. You wanna say something before we exit here?
Yeah. I forgot.
Oh, that was quick, man. You just had it up like 10 seconds ago.
Come on, man. You're making us Ohio people
listen.
As much as
my brain is gone from studying. So
as much as I like you guys and the people in the chat, I got a long day tomorrow, so I'm gonna close the show. But listen, I appreciate Dre coming on, JP, Darkfire, Uber MVD. Appreciate you guys for coming on. So always, we could have these same conversations here and there, and it's funny because DoorDash and the gig apps, they always give us something to talk about, right? And we do this for a living, we make money, and it's fun. We all have different opinions. We work the apps differently. It makes for good conversation. We're not going to solve any of these problems here, but with Sergio and Pablo, two gentlemen, all it took was two guys to read something, right? That was in black and white, call the treasurer in California and send some tweets and get with and a connection of a LA Times. Like, it doesn't, so you can make change. You can hold billion-dollar companies accountable. It took two gentlemen. So the reason I wanted Sergio to come on is to show you guys that whatever side you lie on, legislation, pro-legislation, it doesn't matter. Like, if you want your voice heard, Sergio is an example of being able to do that. And he does what we do for a living. So I thought that was good to kind of showcase him, and you guys could, leave your opinions in the comments if you're watching on the replay and what you think about it. But Darkfire, JP, Judge Dre, appreciate you guys very much. And I'm sure I'll see you guys down the line.
Take care. See you.
All right, thanks, guys.
See you, man.
All right.
See you, man. Okay, so that's the show. Where are we at? 2.5 hours. Good way to end it. I got a busy day tomorrow. For the 187 in here, listen, I got something. I'm gonna give y'all a little teaser. Okay, I'm gonna give you a teaser because y'all know me. I'm always trying to bring different content, different things. Always push the needle, do fun stuff, try to be entertaining. This week, you guys are gonna see some very surprising but entertaining and awesome and cool videos. We're gonna have a special guest in some of my videos, I think. And you guys are going to see some awesome collaboration this coming, basically starting tomorrow till Friday. Be on the lookout. Stay tuned. I have a vision on how I want to record the video tomorrow and maybe even the next couple of days. I haven't done it yet, but just know, be ready to watch some interesting, never before seen content on this channel in this next coming week. It's going to be unique. I got a lot of videos, but this is going to be a very different kind of vibe. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. Two different worlds coming together for entertainment. It's going to be amazing. I hope to see you guys tomorrow. You guys are great. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And go check out the website, GigCon Denver 2023. And you guys have a great night. Be safe. If you're out driving, be safe. If you're around loved ones, give them a hug. I'm about ready to go upstairs. Hug Madison. My daughter's already asleep. But if you're around somebody that is family or whatever, a friend, a hug could change somebody's day. You guys have a great night.